Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Timeless Podcast here today, episode 100, part two. And I really hope, John, that these intros eventually start telling a story that when you match them up back to back to back,
I
they
will
will
tell you
somehow
the
connect.
story behind that particular intro at the end of this podcast when we finish recording, and I will see if you've remembered it, because it is actually the punchline to a joke.
Go. But we are here, episode 100, part two. So yeah, last week we discovered what was the worst episode of Doctor Who, and this week we're going to find out what the best episode of Doctor Who is, rated by the lovely people here at the Timeless Podcast. Today I'm joined by the same.
It's worth adding, Alex, that just on the subject of last week, that actually what was decided by our happy band as the worst episode of Doctor Who was revealed in the most recent Doctor Who magazine interview with Chris Chibnall to be a first draft that he just handed in.
This is true.
Amazing.
I am shocked.
I remember this. I don't buy DWM. I'm sorry to those people.
So I mean, I think what we're saying is validation for the list already.
Yes, absolutely. But Rees told me this over a voice note, because I was saying, some people are kicking off about this interview. And then Rees said, oh, so he said that's a first draft. And he said, apparently he calls the original TARDIS crew William Hartnell's fam. I was like, what? That's...
I mean, on the interview isn't actually that bad.
It's not.
He comes across quite well as somebody that clearly loves the show, and somebody that's approached it with like the best intentions.
Mm-hmm.
But it's I think the people that are jumping up and down on him over it are being dicks, effectively, because there are people jumping up and down about the Timeless Child arc and him basing that apparently around the fact that he himself was adopted, etc. And I'm sorry, but what writer in any kind of genre doesn't base their work in part on their own life experiences?
Exactly. That's how it works, write what you know. And I think why not? And also, it's, again, I always say about Timeless Child art, it's not done yet, so I ain't gonna judge it until we hopefully get some kind of
probably
resolution.
Back in 6 months, just to tell you that it is still shit.
So my new book, Living with Giant Testes, will be out in shops very soon.
Well, Beef, do you want to give us a...
Giant Testes sounds like the name of like a mid-1980s World of Sport wrestler.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, Beef, do we have a date, all things considered? But we are filming in late April, but this won't be out till about mid-May. So just...
Well, yeah. Wait for summer until they get even bigger.
There we go.
Right. Get a couple of malaria bites and that'll be...
There we go. As I said, I'm joined by the same people. So that's John, Elijah, Rees, Adam, and Beef. Like I said, we are going to go through the top listing. If you guys didn't see the first part, I eagerly tell you to do so, because also there was some really good discussions on there, and it wasn't all negative. There were some people, defending certain stories that maybe shouldn't have been as low as they should have been, and some stories that, probably should have been a bit lower. But hey, go watch it.
And you're a bit of a wally if you watch part 2 before you watch part 1.
Yeah, this isn't Tenet, it's
nice analogy. We're 5 minutes into tonight's podcast, and that may already be the smartest thing you've ever said on one of these.
Thank you very much.
100 episodes.
The next hour.
Yeah, taking 100 episodes.
Let the next hour and a half demolish that. But anyway, right, so we are going to go from the last episode, which was the Android Invasion, which had an average of 6.7. And we're going to hop up to an average of 6.8. Now, I can't really comment on the story because it's technically not available. It's non-existing. The Celestial Toymaker, 147th. Kieran Hyman would put this much higher, but...
It is available in soundtrack and novelization and telesnap form and many other things.
Not the old telly
Indeed.
snaps.
Not on vinyl yet, though, but it should be.
Celestial Toymaker, for those that have seen it, it's as fair mid-pack.
Yeah.
At the risk of incurring the ire of Kieran Hyman, this is probably about correctly marked.
Sweet.
I'd put it about mid-tier.
Next up, we have Runes of Simon, State of Decay, and Ghostlight all level on 6.875. I've seen none of these stories. So again, guys, I go to the jury. Is this fair?
I would say, in terms of Revenge of the Cybermen, it's probably fair. I would personally put State of Decay higher than this. It's an absolute banger of a story. It's Doctor Who meets vampires. It's a story of the first ever time war, essentially. And Ghostlight is a story that's always confused me. It's a bit complex, but I know that a lot of people would put it higher than this.
Yeah, I'd put it higher. I really like it. The production value on it. It
looks great.
It's peak Sylve as well, to be honest with you.
It looks great. It's absolutely steeped in kind of lore, and it's a wonderful story. It's just one that's always confused me, but I don't mind that it's confused me. I don't mind being confused as long as I'm being entertained, and it's always entertained me.
Right. Next up, we've got a big tie between the Witchfinders' Christmas Invasion, Boomtown, the two doctors, Lugopolis, sorry, I had to twitch arms, Day of the Doctor, the Day of the Dalek, sorry, Weather Fear, the Moon Base. Right. For me, there's two that stand out here that don't deserve to.
The Web of Fear needs to be much lower. I'm sorry.
Okay. I assume we're not basing this off animation.
Or on the animation.
The episodes themselves. Not if it was the animation, it'd be the bottom of the list.
No, it'd be the top. It'd be the top. Come on.
No.
Okay. For me, I think there are two stories that are a bit clear of the others here, and that for me is the Witchfinders and the Moonbase. Personally, I think Christmas Invasion should be much lower. I think it's boring. But
I tell you what, I wouldn't disagree with that. Christmas Invasion isn't great. I mean, you don't even get to see the Doctor until about 40 minutes in. It's one of very few episodes of New Who that I didn't actually see on broadcast. And I saw it under quite trying circumstances. I saw it basically when I'd got home from the hospital where I was visiting my dying mother. So I probably wasn't in the best mood for an hour of Doctor Who fun and games. But yeah, I think it's overrated because it's Tennant's debut, even though he's only in it for about 15 minutes. There were some nice bits in it. The blood control bit was quite fun. But yeah, for me,
Killer Christmas trees.
Yeah, Killer Christmas trees, Robot Santas. But you look at stuff like Runaway Bride, Voyage of the Damned, they're better than this.
Oh god.
And I think for me, I agree. Witchfinders seems a bit low.
I think for me that's the sort of most Who-esque episode that I can think of that early Jodie period. To be honest with you,
it's very good. It's a standout from Series 11. And I mean, you're all expecting me to say this anyway, but Day of the Daleks is too low. It's one of the few examples in which Doctor Who actually properly does a time paradox and does it well.
Oh no, but it's so boring. I'm sorry, John. It's so boring. The best bit about it was
right. You do realise that you know somebody that has appeared in this episode.
I know somebody that knows somebody. It's a tenuous. I mean, look, that was the most interesting thing as Owen going, oh, that's him. Oh, that's him again. That's him again. That's him with a mustache. That was the best part about it. Yeah, but no,
it's great stuff. I mean, it's the first Dalek appearance that you get in 5 years for a start. So you've got to take that into account. It's pretty iconic that the Daleks are back after 5 years. It is Doctor Who does time paradoxes well, which it hasn't always done well for a time travel show. You've got the sweet shop owner from Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory playing the controller. Joe Grant, top tier. The Doctor's got cheese and wine. What more can you want?
There we go. If we get to it on the podcast at some point, I think I'm going to get rinsed for that because that's possibly my least favorite Pertwee episode I've seen, apart from Silurians. Possibly, but I might be oversaying that. I might have rated episodes lower, but in my head. I go from the ones I've seen.
What does everybody else think of Day of the Daleks?
I can watch it again and again. It's one of those stories I could like.
I enjoy it.
Yeah, it's great fun, isn't it?
Reese, get your good words in now, mate, because
I know. Oh, I know the political game that Rees Marshall is playing, and I'm thoroughly up for it. I don't mind being battered up, as many of you know.
Yeah, but Adam Mamoon, I'm sorry, but Logopolis much lower than this. It's dire. It's dire. It's so boring, and the only good thing about it is the regeneration. Not because Tom's leaving. The scene itself is really good.
Alex, you clearly weren't on the you clearly weren't on the watch along that we did of Logopolis,
I think I was.
where every time you got to the end of an episode when the explosion came in, because Owen was watching it in the dark, his entire bedroom just flashed up.
Oh no, I did see it. I was there for that. That's when I watched
It's
it.
hilarious.
That's when I watched it. But yeah, a good selection of episodes now. And the next one, just further up with this, with 6.9, is sorry, had to do it. It's Silver Nemesis. I don't think it's better than any of them, to be honest.
I'm not a big fan of Silver Nemesis, and I think it should be lower.
I don't
not a
think it's
fan.
better than half of the episodes we just named.
I don't understand why Silver Nemesis was held up as the 25th anniversary story when it could and should so easily have been Remembrance of the Daleks.
I mean,
Agreed.
the person who gave it the highest score here was Beef. When I
Explain
want to
yourself.
No, I just thought, why not? Let's have a bit of opinion.
I like Cybermen. I don't care. I like
Okay.
Cybermen, and to be honest with you, my favourite are 80s Cybermen, and you don't get more 80s Cybermen than Silver Nemesis. To be honest with
And I
you,
suppose it makes sense because it is the silver anniversary as well, that you'd have the silver foes,
Yeah.
like the Doctor and Ace.
I mean, there's certain things that just make no sense. There's no explanation to it. Hey, it's but it's nuts. From one of a better description, you get Nazis, which was my thing.
It's Doctor Who versus neo-Nazis, which is great.
Yeah.
It's the guy that goes,
Yeah.
that's just quality in itself.
Right. We've got another.
You get Courtney Pine.
You get Ace with a slingshot. There
we go. Yeah, it's just not for me. I think it's I'm not massive. Right, we have another big tie, and I can now say that every episode above this is rated 7 or above. So from now on, the consensus-wise, these are good episodes, consistently pretty good episodes. But we have a big tie of Death to the Daleks, Face of Evil, Stones of Blood, Army Ghost Doomsday, Time of Angels, Fest and Stone, God Complex, The Snowmen, Into the Daleks, and Magician's Apprentice, and The Witch's Familiar.
A few of these should be a bit higher.
Yes.
What is Stones of Blood doing this low down the list?
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
I think it's right where it needs to be. It's
I
distinctly
think,
average.
You're wrong.
Magician's Apprentice and Witch's Familiar should be higher because I think that's
No.
a banging two-parter.
No.
A banging two-parter, Alex. Banging two-parter.
Death to the Daleks should probably be higher. Army of Ghosts and Doomsday is an interesting one.
Yeah, it's boring.
It's one that I find difficult to judge because it's another story that I have quite a personal connection with. And I think I would probably put it around here, but I can see why a lot of people would put it higher and a lot of people would put it lower.
Can I explain my relationship with Army Ghost and Doomsday? I'm going to put an analogy that maybe John can only understand, but it's like when you're watching wrestling and you're going up to the big pay-per-view fight, right? You got the biggest rivals going head to head and it ends in a no contest. The Daleks versus Cyberman thing is boring. It's bollocks. The Cybermen can't even hurt the Daleks whatsoever. What is the point? I understand, look, Russell T. Davies loves his Daleks. I get it, but it should have been more of an even fight. I'm saying the Daleks can win, but make the Cybermen be able to at least affect the Daleks a little bit.
You see, for me, it's a fight that should never have taken place.
Agreed.
Because somebody's always going to come out as a loser and somebody's therefore always going to come out as a weaker. And that was always going to be the Cybermen. So for me, it's a fight that should never have taken place. On the other hand, due to personal circumstances, it's an episode that I saw at a very bad time in my life. and the emotional impact of Rose leaving probably saved my life and certainly saved my sanity. So it is something that I will always hold dear to me on a personal level, but on a storytelling level, part one's great. It's brilliant until the fucking Daleks turn up. And then it all just goes to shit.
Agreed. One thing I will say, and this might be an unpopular opinion, I don't know, God Complex should be higher. I really like that story. I'm a big fan. Big
Not
fan.
a big fan myself.
No?
Nah.
God
I feel-
Complex.
I feel Death to the Daleks should be higher just for having the most bizarre cliffhanger in the history of Doctor Who.
Stop, don't move.
Yeah.
But just so I'm...
and I'd also put in a very strong shout for me, anyway, for the Snowmen being higher, because I think it's one of the best Christmas specials, and I love Victoria and Clara. I'm one of these people that kind of wishes Victoria and Clara had actually been the companion.
I do agree with that.
I'd also say Time of Angel should be higher, but I'm a Matt Smith stan, so I'm going to say that.
I mean, that's another one that I think I probably rank quite highly, because it's series 5. It's a better Angel story than the Angel story that's going to come a lot higher than this.
Yep. Agreed. Next up, though, the Crimson Horror. And here's Alex's opinion. You wouldn't think this should be lower than the 3 other Matt Smith stories that are in that list there for me. I'm a fan, but I do think it's slightly overrated. I don't know if I'm on my own there. But
Quite interesting with the ratings here. Like, you rated it 1 point lower than I would, but I'd agree it's not one that I'd go back and be like, I'm going to watch the Crimson Horror. Like, it's not one of those episodes.
It's the best story from Series 7B, but I think that says more about Series 7B than it does about the Crimson Horror.
Again, for me, for me, it spells St. John or Rings of Akaten, but that's just obviously emotional connection.
Yeah, it sort of just drags. The story just plods along, and it gets to sort of like a satisfying conclusion. And it looks nice, but it doesn't really do much apart from that.
Right.
I mean, I'll say one thing: like the actress is playing Mrs. Gillyflower, and that you do believe that they're mother and daughter.
Yes. Oh, they're actually in real life. Is that the joke?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
didn't know that. And there we go. Next up, we got a 4-way tie of Resolution, Smile, kind of on to Edge of Destruction. Here's something you would think Alex said. Edge of Destruction should be much higher.
That's great.
It's genius. It's one of the best classic stories.
It's
legit.
Basically, if you think about it, it's almost the original Midnight, if it were.
Yeah, so it's an excellently done bottle episode.
Now, if you're looking to do a stage adaptation,
we're not getting into controversies in episode 100. But actually, we're just going to promote your own stage show there. I apologize.
Link in the bio.
If you send me it, then I'll do it.
Okay.
Right.
Elijah, can we do a stage adaptation of Carnival Monsters?
That might be a bit difficult.
I'd be down.
I could hand puppet the Drashigs. Or no, Ryan can hand puppet the Drashigs.
Sorry.
Me and Richard and Beef could be like the 3 councillors.
Sorry, but Rees, you're not getting away with this one, mate. I saw your face when I said that Edge of Destruction comment. Do your worst. You're not getting away with it, Sunshine. You're not. We've seen your list. We've seen your list. We know you hate 60s Who. Go on. Go on?
Say?
No, go on. What do you want to say? Go on. What's wrong with Edge of Destruction? What is wrong with it?
To be fair, he's been quite fair on Edge of Destruction. He's only given it a point less than me.
Gallifrey for 97.
Adam gave it the same rating.
Yeah,
so
Adam's giving it the same.
Adam?
Because
Alex, you only gave it a point more. You can't start cussing him out when you don't.
You're jumping ahead. Hang on. No, fair criticism coming out.
Am I looking at the right row? I am. Yeah. So you've only given it a point more. You cannot start cutting
I
off that.
was basing it off his facial reaction when I said.
I was laughing because you were like,
That's-
it's like the best episode thing. Well, he's probably got to watch two less.
I said it
usual. That's what I was thinking.
But
I mean, I suspect his facial reaction could be more because I mentioned Carnival of Monsters, which I've given a 10 and he's given a 6.
I've not seen it.
But at the same time, I mean, so you've not seen it?
I think
You've
actually,
not
no, of
seen
course I
Carnival-
have. It's the
you-
drastic one, isn't
not
it?
seen
It's
it.
the drastic one. It's the drastic one. Yeah, I've seen it. I was thinking
Okay.
of mutants. I was thinking of mutants. Well, I was thinking of the mutants.
But, I
I've
mean,
not seen
and
the
I'll tell you
mutants.
why I'm you're okay, Reese. I'm not going to have a go at you about that because you've given it a 6. And when I look to the road just to the right, somebody else has given it a 5.
I don't like it when Doctor Who does things. I just think it's really weird.
You don't like it when Doctor Who does things.
I'm
Doctor
scared of
Who's
you,
weird.
John. Okay,
Doctor
John.
Who.
I'm afraid of you. I'm going to be honest. So I might flutter like a little bitch here, but no, the Drastigs are terrible. One of the worst designer creatures in Doctor Who history. They're pointless. Meh. I think it's boring. I think the plot meanders a little bit. Yeah, I'm sorry, man.
Doctor Who gets stuck inside a little kaleidoscope. It's brilliant.
You know it's dumb. Sorry.
You get to see Harry Sullivan like 2 years before you're going to get introduced to Harry Sullivan.
Yeah. Here's my unpopular opinion about this list as well. Smong should be much lower.
Yeah, well, you get a woman doing a funny dance, and a man who should probably be on a register somewhere in a spangly suit.
I don't know, John. I'm sorry.
Underrated classic. And I mean, I've seen what's just above it, and there is no fucking way that should be just above this.
Sorry, resolution of the Daleks should be much lower.
Resolution's great.
It's pants.
The Dalek does a Grand Theft Auto.
It's the most telegraphed ending to it.
Oh, I love a toaster ending beef.
I mean, it does. I mean, but it does have future 14th Doctor and absolute cookie crush Charlotte Ritchie in it.
Yeah, it's solid. But next up, like you said, John, Doctor Who Flux. I'm not going to spend too much time on this because obviously we spent a lot of time on the podcast talking about this. We all know each other's opinions. It's landed here.
I'm just gonna take a little look at the spreadsheet now.
Okay.
You know, I'm just gonna try a little experiment here, right? I'm just gonna go down to the relevant rows. Where are we? Doctor Who Flux compared to the Carnival of Monsters. Right. Okay. I'll move. Sorry, this might take a little second. Just need to do something.
It's time for an analysis.
Don't. You check it. Are you lining up scores to see who scored Flux higher than Monsters?
I'm just looking at something. Okay, so comparing Doctor Who Flux to, okay, so Rees Marshall.
Not that I'm picking on you or anything,
but
Alex King, Rees Marshall, Alex Kingdom.
Yep. What about it?
Connor Allen, Richard Orr.
What about it?
All 4 of you have said that Doctor Who Flux was better than Carnival of Monsters.
What about it? Because it is better.
There's better individual episodes.
No. It's better as a whole. I'm sorry. I watched it back recently.
And Elijah, you're not getting away with it because you said they're the same.
All right, let's get into Doctor Who Flux quickly. I've rewatched it, and I can tell you this.
It's about average, yeah.
I can tell you this. The Doctor Who Flux finale, is it a bit mental? Does it make much sense? No. Is it a good finale? No. But is it entertaining? Yes. And that is something that Carnival Monsters isn't. So therefore...
to be fair...
Alex Kingdom says Carnival of Monsters is not entertaining. Holy fucking shitballs.
I said it's about the same. So, I mean...
Holy shitballs. Okay. Let me tell you something about those two, right? You get more emotional impact in Carnival of Monsters over the poor monsters that are trapped inside the kaleidoscope thing, bearing in mind they are monsters, killer monsters, there is more emotion showed towards them than there is when Jericho dies in Flux.
No, mate, I love
That is the power. That is the lack of power in the storytelling there.
I love Pirates of the Caribbean. What are you on about? I'm always sad when Kevin McNally dies. No, I'd like again. I just want.
We're not watching Pirates of the Caribbean.
I mean, like everybody talks about, oh, Yaz is this wonderful companion and Dan's this great guy. If I travelled around with somebody for 3 days and I saw them killed, I'd be a bit upset. They travelled with Jericho for 3 years, saw him killed in front of them, and they're just like,
oh. John, look, is it a good finale? Is it well written? No, it's fun, and that's something that Carnival Monsters it isn't. Carnival...
And I tell you something else that Carnival Monsters doesn't do. It doesn't genocide the fucking Lupari.
Sacrifices for the greater good.
Now that's animal.
Close your ears, Spark.
No.
Next time you see my dog, and I know you love my dog, next time you see my dog, remember you fucking said that, boy. Sacrifice for the greater good.
Oh no, I'm in trouble now. Right. Anyway, moving on. Next up, we got a simple Husbands of River song at a 7.1. I think this is fair. I think it's really fun. What? I think it's fun. Do you not think it's fun?
Compared to others on the list, but yeah, it's good.
Okay.
I like it.
But would you say a 7.1 is accurate? What did you give it a rating?
Husbands is decent.
Yeah. Okay, so it's not far off your estimation then, but you would have rated episodes below it higher.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. Right, next up, I think we got another draw popping up.
I certainly would say the last 5 minutes of the Husbands of River song is like peak Moffat writing.
Okay, here we go. Are we ready? Another big draw on 7.2 is Claus Vaxos, Vengeance of Varus, Sontaran Stratagem, Poison Sky, Girl Who Waited, Underlip for the Flood, and Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror. Right,
Claus Vaxos should be higher.
Claus Vaxos should be higher. Sontaran Stratagem should be much, much lower.
Yeah,
agreed.
Underlip for the Flood should be higher.
You are now being fucking judged, boy.
Great.
Before the Flood does need to be higher.
Yeah, it does need to be higher. Girl Who Waited for me should be higher, but I'm an Amy stan, so I think what it comes down to. Vengeance of Varos, lower. I don't get the hype. We talk about modern day reviews, right? The Doctor shouldn't do X, Y, Z. The Doctor literally puts him in a vat of acid in this episode, and it's one of the worst scenes in Doctor Who. It makes the Doctor entirely unlikable. The whole concept is brilliant. It's kind of reality TV. Reality TV was a thing, and I do like that. But Syl's okay in it. But yeah, I don't know. I don't like it. I think Two Doctors is better. But for me, Nikola Tesla as well. I mean, I know me and Rees are big stans, but I don't know if we're batting that fight on our own. I think it's kind of accurate to where it should be, really.
I think it's in about the right place. It's a lot more watchable than some of the 13th Doctor stuff that's gone before it.
You can probably do with doing a little bit lower, but yeah, it's within the ballpark of where it should be. But again, it's sort of the flaws on it are very evident to see just by watching it.
I mean, Rees gave it a 9. I gave it an 8. I think it's one of the best historicals in Doctor Who. For me, I like. Look, and I understand maybe not in terms. I enjoy it, Beef. I enjoy it, Beef. I can't. Okay, it's not a pure historical because obviously we were speaking last week about what is a pure historical, what's not. But for me, I really enjoy it. I think it's 45 minutes of fun. I know me and Rees agree on this, but it's just 45 minutes of fun. You can put it on, you can watch it, and you go, yeah, I had a really good time. And that's what Doctor Who should be.
It's got good pace and
yeah. Nicholas Goron Visnich is brilliant in it. It gives one of the best historical performances of any character. Up there with Vincent.
Excuse me?
It's lighter on the exposition than a lot of stuff is.
Yeah.
So as much as that's a backhanded compliment, it's got that going for it.
It lost me as soon as I saw the Goodyear tire on her shoulder, though.
Right. The Keeper of Traken up next. Is that fair? I've not watched it.
Too low.
Too low. Okay. And this one's too high. Impossible Planet Satan Pitch should be in the bottom 20.
I enjoy that one.
I'm taking the mic, but it should be lower. I've never understood the hype really. I mean, I gave it a 4. So, I think it's just a bit meh.
I think it's one that polarizes people. I think it's one that people either love or don't.
Yep.
Yeah.
Be like, I like it.
It had a great build up. The second part fell a little bit short for me. Just because when you see that mythic thing of like, this is the devil who's showed up in all sorts of folklore across, every sort of civilization across time memorial, and you just don't get very much to it, and it doesn't talk. It's just a howling beast, and chained up.
Yeah, I mean, without spoiling things, I think it's pretty clear to anybody that's been following, listening, and anybody that has a reasonable expectation of what's on this list. It's fair to say that there is a story significantly later on this list where the Doctor faces the devil, and it's done a lot better.
Yes. Rees doesn't seem so sure. He kind of gave a half nod there.
No, that was
okay. You've shouted. No,
I'm sure we'll see when we get to that particular story.
Okay, we got another draw. There's a lot of draws, obviously, a lot of episodes, a lot of save scores. This is a 4-way draw, and this is entirely wrong for me. Curse of Paladin, Horror of Fang Rock, Woman Who Fell to Earth, Revolution of Daleks. Curse of Paladin, much higher. I'm a fan. For me, Horror of Fang Rock, kind of in the right place. Fan of the idea, execution. Me, Woman Who Fell to Earth, I'd say is in the right place. Revolution of the Daleks, I think could be a bit higher. I'm a fan of that one, unless people aren't. I like it.
I think if we are in a world where we are saying the Revolution of the Daleks is on a par with Horror of Fang Rock and Curse of Peladon, there's something a little bit broken somewhere.
Yeah.
Because Curse of Paladin is very fondly remembered. It's a wonderful Pertwee story. Yes, it's another one of those examples of, well, technically you're still under exile, but we've been doing this for 3 years, so we're going to send you to another planet. But, you've got so many wonderfully memorable characters. The Ice Warriors are back for the first time in 3 years. Horror of Fang Rock is a stone cold 10 out of 10 classic. It's atmospheric, it's moody. It's so damn good. People think it's in the Hinchcliffe area, whereas it's Williams. But it's also, along with a couple of other stories that are coming up, it's one of those things that always factors in as a potential argument for the best 3 consecutive Doctor Who stories that you will see.
Yeah, I don't know if I like it to that level, but I agree that it's good. When You Fell to Earth, I think it should be a bit higher. I'm a fan. And I agree, Revolution of Daleks. I don't think it should be on the same level. I'm saying Curse of Paladin should be like borderline in the top 50. I'm saying I'm not saying that the rating's particularly wrong. I'm saying with the stack of stories we've had, could be a bit higher.
I mean, what I'm saying is for these to be level 1 point.
Yes, wrong.
For these to be on a par, there is something wrong.
Next up, we have a 2-way tie between Dalek Invasion of Earth and Paradise Towers. I haven't seen either of them. Anyone want to give their 2 cents?
What number are we on now?
106 and 105.
That's interesting because I think back to Doctor Magazine poll, and Paradise Towers is sort of ranked definitely in sort of 200, late 200. And I actually probably say Paradise Towers is my favorite from season 24. I think, yeah.
That one, the Bannerman craps all over it. I'm not even seeing it, but I know it does.
Paradise Towers is one that's had a bit of a reevaluation, especially since the season 24.
Yeah.
A lot of people have come back to it, and especially now that a lot of people have actually seen High Rise, have come back to it and been like, oh, we can see where this is coming from now.
Yeah.
It's tempting in both cases to say they're too low, but we're now at the point where there's only 100 stories above them.
And I'd say they're fair.
I think it's probably fair. It's probably fair.
Fair rating.
Invasion of Earth could possibly be a bit higher, because it is pretty iconic. But again, if I actually sat down with my own list, there might be 100 stories there that I was like, can I put it above that, or could I argue if it was below that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Next up, we got one at its own. Let the Spy Fall. I think again, this is fair. I think it's good. I don't think it's brilliant.
Interesting mix of scores there.
I think
It is.
I think it's there based purely on part one. Part two more. Part two absolutely lets it down.
I think part two is better.
I'd agree, even though I gave it a pretty high score. I'd agree part two kind of.
You know, bearing in mind we all grew up with the Doctor. This is, of course, the episode where the Doctor goes, I'm going to show the Nazis that you're a man of colour and you're going to be sent to a concentration camp.
Yeah, that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing.
That's not a good thing. And
no.
Unfortunately, it's not portrayed narratively as a bad thing.
Yeah, it's a bit of a massive fuck you from the Doctor, isn't it? On a very strange level.
The messaging from what is supposed to be your hero character is pretty shitty there.
Yeah, absolutely. But I do think overall it's a fun story. I think there are some issues with it. I'm a big fan of part two. I do like. I know people don't like certain things. I like the fact that Daniel Barton just wants to kill his mum because I like the old sausage shuffle. I like it. People say it's a worse version of what they did in the series 3. I think it's done better than what they did in series 3. But
I mean, there is potential for a bit of discussion here because somebody in this podcast has given it a 9.5 and somebody else has given it a 1.
Beef, Elijah, have it out.
I enjoy it for a series opener.
A 1? Beef, a 1. Can I say, Beef, your Jodie scores, right? I'm going to be honest. I don't try to call you out on them, but you're really not a fan of Zero at all, are you?
The Triplet era at all? No, because the thing, right? What I would say about Spyfall is right. Yeah, episode 2 is the Curse of Fatal Death. It goes down. There's no reason for the Doctor to be going to the particular historical periods that the Doctor goes to, apart from literally just doing name checks for the characters to it. The reason that there was all this allusion being made to the Silver Lady, and it should have been the Doctor, in essence, was slave to that. And the reason being was following through wherever the Silver Lady appeared to at the time. So, going to see Nur Inyat Khan there was no reason for it, just to say, hey, this is a significant woman from history. Now, it would have been better to just made that as an episode in itself. There was no reason for the Doctor to be doing that. Daniel Barton's motives were just crap, and basically the guy just legs it at the end. So the get out on that is just poor. And on top of that, it's there's aspects of just copying off the sounds of drums and just changing it up a bit. So it just falls to bits.
I mean, the best thing about it is Sacha Dhawan.
Yes.
The second best thing about it is Stephen Fry, and he dies in the first 5 minutes.
I don't know if
the story is shockingly bad.
And let's also not forget, in addition to the revelation of a person of colour to the Nazis, this is also the story that contains the line, or should I say, plain thieves.
No comment. I'm not going to get into this debate. We could be here all day. Next up, I've got a big issue with this. On the same level with 7.4, we got Robot, The Visitation, Planet Lude, and Thin Ice. What the fuck is The Visitation doing? It should be much higher.
Yeah, I've no disagreement on that. As a historical story, I think pseudo historical. It's bang on.
Elijah, 5.
I'm just not a fan. Okay.
No, it's not okay.
It's literally got Arthur. It's literally got Arthur from On the Bus, isn't it?
The Plague.
Well, I don't know who that is. So,
right, Robot is.
In fact, it's got Arthur from the buses using the line towards the Doctor. Would it not be more customary to use the tradesman's entrance?
Robot shouldn't be here. I'm sorry, Mamoon, but it's toilet, as John would say.
Robot is brilliant.
No, it's a 1-part story.
It's Doctor Who does King Kong.
I don't like King Kong.
We're going to come on to, we covered it a little bit already, but we're going to come on to like introductory for stories for Doctors and what they should do. And the job of Robot is to introduce you to Tom at the Doctor. And boy, does it bloody do that.
It's top tier Harry Sullivan.
It helps if you like Tom Baker and Harry Sullivan, which I don't like.
Anyway. It's the last great hurrah for UNIT.
And also from a point of view that your opposing force is headed up by a woman, to show that you can have a woman who's intelligent and in a position of power. Do you hate women, Alex Kingdom?
I think that no. I think there are good aspects to it. Let's not, I'm not saying it's like dog shit, but
you said toilets, Alex.
I know, but I think it is. I think the villain's toilet. I mean, K1 Robot is dumb. Big Robot, who cares? But I think Tom's good in it. I think, like John said, the unit stuff's really good. Harry Sullivan's one of the worst companions in Doctor Who, so just swiftly forget he's there. Sorry, not sorry. He's the worst part about season, is it 12?
Alex
You don't even know what season. You don't even know what season it is, Alex.
I'm not a fan of the Hinchcliffe era. But anyway, we'll move on.
Oh no.
The look on Adam Mamoon's face right now.
Okay, when I say I'm not a fan, I am a fan.
Actually, technically, it's Barry Letts who produced Robot.
Yeah,
so you've pissed me off as well.
But Adam, I like Hinchcliffe, but he's not the goat.
But Alex, he is.
I'm sorry. Planet of the Huge and Thin Ice, I think, are on the same level for me. I think Planet of the Huge is one of those unfortunate stories where it has a really good message, but doesn't really have the time to explore it.
I just remember watching it with the unaired drunk watch along.
Oh, when Beef passed out. The one podcast that couldn't make air.
Planet of the Huge will ever be the watch along that we did after we'd done a 4-hour Adam Mamoon Doctor Who quiz.
Yeah.
And Beef had been drinking for 4 hours before starting the drunk watch along. And
my favorite part was
about half an hour through.
My favorite thing was just noticing at Beef. It was a bit off because halfway through is closing one eye, and we were like, "Beef, you're right." He's like, "Yeah, man, I'm all good." We were a bit like, "Are you sure?"
Yeah. If you want to
then I could only see one of something there.
If you want to enjoy Planet of the Ood, take a shot every time they say Ood.
Oh, it's hilarious. It's not hilarious. It's a very serious story, but it's a fun game to play. Next up, Battlefield. I think this is fair.
I think Battlefield's maybe a little high.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of the series, of the season 26 stories, it's the worst, but that's because the other 3 are very good.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Next up is let's check if there is a draw. We got Face the Raven, Pandorica Opens, Big Bang, Doctor and the Silurians, and the Aztecs. There are 2 here that stand out to me. And John, let's go with the same 2 that you think. Pandorica Opens is much better than Face the Raven, and the Aztecs is better than all of them.
What the Pandorica Opens in the Big Bang is doing this far down, I do
disgraceful.
Not know.
It's disgraceful.
I will be studying the spreadsheet later and bringing out legal writs against those that have marked it down.
Yeah, absolutely.
As modern series endings go, it is perfection.
I have to agree. John, we won't put on this too long because we all know my opinion of Doctor and the Silurians. We did an entire podcast on it. You can check it out on the channel. Me and John had a lovely debate about that, and it was a fun debate actually because it wasn't just us shouting at each other. It was actually well. So we won't talk about that one too much. Aztecs is a top 40 story for me.
Yeah, I mean, you were talking about best historicals earlier, right? The Aztecs is probably the best historical.
Yeah. Who marks this down? Hey,
and for the record, yes, I do think that Silurian should be higher. It's your introduction to the conflict between the Doctor and the Brigadier that you pretty much see across the first couple of series. It's also got one of the best endings of a classic Who story. In fact, it's the second best ending to a Pertwee story after the Green Death. But that kind of the realization that that the Brigadier has genocided the Silurians, because this is a story, believe it or not, that portrays genocide in a negative way and shows you that it's not a very good thing. Unlike a story that we previously looked at, which just kind of mentions it and then throws it away.
Right, Rees, this is your first big one. The Aztecs are 6. Are you having a laugh?
It's all right, isn't it?
I mean, a six is at least a positive score.
Yeah, it's a positive score, but
it's on the right side of 5, mate.
Yeah, but it's a banger.
I don't love it as much as you, but I think it's all right.
Well, it's because it's 62 and you just hate 62.
Wow.
Why do you hate 62, Reese?
I don't know where these rumors have come from. I think
Your scores.
I think a lot of story.
I mean, essentially, within the context of this podcast, they've come from Alex Kingdom.
No, they've come from the scores. I mean, no, I am winding them up a little bit, but I don't know, mate. Like a 6, really? Really? Can we play it like that? Okay, it's fine. I've given some blasphemous scores myself, but
I mean, there are a couple of people,
Blasphemous.
I mean, there are a couple of people not on this podcast that have given it a 5.
who?
But that could be the reason they're not on this podcast.
Oh, they can go fuck themselves. Connor and Owen, go fuck yourself. No, I love it. It's like I've been on verbatim, and I've said it a lot on this podcast. I'm not a massive fan of the William Hartnell era. That's one of the stories for me that just I can watch over and over again.
That sounds like a you problem, Alex.
I think Hartnell is only one of the stories where he's actually really, really good in it. Sorry.
Excuse me?
It's for the. I'm not a fan. But it's one of the best kind of.
Are you a fan of 60s Who, Alex?
I'm a fan of Patrick Troughton. That's when Doctor Who became well. But yes, I think it's one of the stories that shows. I thought that was a joke before anyone. It's a joke. William Hartnell is a legend, and he has at least 6 good stories. Anyway, but I'm doing that for like.
I think you're trying to.
I'm doing that for like for those on the audio podcast. For those on the audio-based podcast, Elijah's pulling the best face that you could ever see.
I would say that. I would say that's 4 good stories more than a certain Doctor that Alex rates very highly.
I do. Okay. Anyway, Jesus wept. Okay, we are up to here, which is Gridlock or Survival. Gridlock is top tier. For me, I love it. I don't know what it is. I think it's underrated. When I say top tier, I don't mean like the best of the best.
I think it's overrated a little bit, with regards to the stores we've got. I just think it's mid-tier. It's sort of.
I prefer the macro terror.
For you, it wouldn't penetrate the top 100.
Oh.
Come on.
Interesting choice of word.
Come on.
I can see why it's here. Would I personally put it in my top 100? On a good day, yes. On a bad day, no. I can see why it's here. I think there are some very interesting bits in there. It's got some interesting things to say about the power of community, even though everybody's isolated in their own little pods, which is probably more poignant today than it was 15 years ago. I loved the bit where they sing the old Rugged Cross, because again, I think it's something about being together while you're all apart. And obviously that is also how they effectively solve the problem in the end. But I'm not sure that it's that deep to read that many things into it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Is it one that you say, I'm in a traffic jam kind of mood? I know, Gridlock, and pull that one off the shelf.
I see it.
In terms of traffic jam based episodes of television, the episode of One Foot in the Grave is better than this.
I don't know what that is. I know One Foot in the Grave is the specific traffic jam episode to which you're referring.
There's an episode in which Victor, Margaret, and Mrs. Warboys are stuck in a traffic jam for half an hour. It's one of the funniest half hours of television you'll ever see.
I will second that.
Next up, we have Planet of the Spiders and Brain and Morbius on the same level. I've seen neither of these. Adam, I have a question for you. When is this me and you watching Brain and Morbius thing happening? I said I'm not going to watch it until we watch it together. I've said that we've not happened yet, so I've not watched it.
We will absolutely arrange to watch this, but Brain and Morbius should be considerably high. It's probably in my top 3 of Tom's. Beautifully Gothic. Philip Maddock is great, and the Sisterhood quite cool. And yeah,
I'm going to surprise a few people here. Brain and Morbius should be higher than Planet of the Spiders.
Yeah, I can't comment, but Adam, if you wanna, give subtle. I know you're not a shouty man, so give subtle evils to the one that get low score is Owen with a 6. So if you want to give subtle evils like you normally like to do, there you go. Right, we shall move on to because we're getting to that top 50, and when we get to the top 50-ish, we'll start talking about should they be here, should they not. This is a big draw though, between a lot of episodes. It should be fun. We have Knock Knock, The Name of the Doctor, A Good Man Goes to War, A Christmas Carol, Smith and Jones, Revelation of the Daleks, The Mind Robber, Fury from the Deep, and The Chase. My first thing is A Christmas Carol is wonderful, but I know some people don't think that way. But
A Christmas Carol and The Mind Robber are better than the stories that they've been tied with here. Knock Knock should probably be a bit further down this list.
Christmas Carol bottom.
Yeah, not a fan.
What?
Not a fan.
What? Elijah?
I think somebody's about to be visited by 3 ghosts.
Dude, it's literally it's literally one of the best stories I've written with Doctor Who and a flying fucking shark. Like, it's incredible.
If it's the best story written, why is it number 88?
No, I meant A Christmas Carol.
Okay, so you're fine with Doctor Who and a flying shark, but in a sleigh with Father Christmas, you've got an issue with it.
I don't have any. If you rewind to the last episode, I never slagged off the Santa aspect of Last Christmas. I slagged off the dream aspect.
Nick Frost. No, you said.
Nick Frost I said it was a waste of Nick Frost. I didn't say that he did a bad job. I said it was a waste of Nick Frost. Those are 2 different things.
I mean, that's quite nuanced in terms of the difference.
I think it's how you see Christmas.
I'm getting the word nuance.
Okay, wonderful. I think the rest of them on a 7.6 average. Knock Knock, Name of the Doctor, A Good Man Goes to War should be higher a little bit for me.
Mind Robber should massively be higher. It's probably one of my favorite Troughton episodes.
Mind Robber and Christmas Carol are the 2 that stand out here of what are they doing down there.
Yep, absolutely. Next up on its little own spot with the 7.7.
Hands up who's got a DVD of The Mind Robber signed by Hamish Wilson.
Not me.
No, and I probably won't get one anytime soon.
You won't get one now, no. Hamish Wilson. I did not win a competition. No, sorry.
Next up, how is this? I enjoyed this episode, but how has it got its way up here? The Runaway Bride above some of these stories is wrong. It's fun, but
it's better than Christmas Invasion.
It's better than Christmas Invasion, but it's not better than Christmas Carol.
It's better than Christmas Carol.
But yeah, it's not better than Christmas Carol, but that's because Christmas Carol was too low. It introduces you to probably the best Tenant companion.
Martha.
Yeah.
Martha.
No.
But
nah.
Martha's better than Donna, who's better than Rose. But again, John's gonna hate me. So I like Rose with Eccleston.
You know that I don't like series 2 Rose.
Okay. Yeah, I think Runaway Bride's fine. Next up at the 7.7, we've got a draw, Deep Breath, Amy's Choice, and The Sequels. Right, for me, it's going to be Me Alone. Amy's Choice should be a little bit higher than these 2. I'm a fan of that one, though. Deep Breath is crap. It's one of the worst characterizations of the Doctor we've ever seen. That we've spoken on this podcast about how the Doctor should never kill. How this episode can get away with suggesting they suggest that there is potential to which he could have pushed him off the ledge.
Okay. Alex.
But we don't know.
Alex, you love the Timeless Children.
No, but I'm not saying.
Whoa. You love the Timeless Children. You loved Legend of the Sea Devils. In both of those particular stories, a character who has done absolutely no wrong turns around to the Doctor and says, "I'll sacrifice myself. I'll take your place."
Alex,
and she just goes, "Okay, mate, I'm off."
Alex, it's a fucking robot.
Yeah, okay, but here's the difference, okay?
And an evil robot, and yet your babe allows completely innocent people to sacrifice.
She's not my favourite Doctor.
Look, if you can say fam, he can say babe too.
Right. No, but she's not my favourite Doctor. So,
Alex,
but yeah,
I hope.
But you regard her highly.
I do. Right. Here's my thing. I didn't say that was. I didn't. Okay.
A little bit of a hypocritical.
No, because I don't specifically hate that point. Right. I think that scene is good of itself. I raised it because my question to you guys is, how is that scene good? But when Jodie does the same thing, I don't give a fuck if it's a robot or not. Right. It can clearly feel. It's clearly got the comprehension to go. Is life worth living? What is this? It's got. What's the difference there?
Okay, well, what's the difference there? The difference is, firstly, that it's almost like one is ambiguous and you don't actually know what the Doctor's done, and the other one shows you front and centre that the Doctor allows somebody to sacrifice himself for her. That's where the difference lies.
And that wasn't a sacrifice, though.
It establishes your new Doctor in the new cycle of regenerations that you don't
this
know.
This guy's a badass.
But badass. He offers him a drink, which always gets my vote and seal of approval, and you see. You get the thought process of the Doctor. You see how he works out everything. The bit in the restaurant when you work out that no one's actually eating, he's picked that up, and you've been watching it already for 2-3 minutes, and you haven't noticed any of that.
Okay, that stuff in it is good.
I hope you have spleen and liver for dinner tonight.
Lovely. Okay, here's my last statement on Deep Breath. Peter Capaldi is great in it. It's a shame he wasn't written well. Moving on. That series 8.
This is what Alex does when he doesn't get his way.
Moving on.
It's interesting because that would it's interesting because that would be my assessment of series 11, 12, and 13.
I would have done a mic drop like in wrestling, but it wouldn't have sounded right. So
to be honest, Alex, you don't need to be a mic drop. I could just press this button.
and not being funny, it plays along with the line of "Am I a good man?" And because the thing is, at that point, you don't know how to gauge the Doctor, and it's whatever perspective you take of him from that point running onwards. Because the ending is so ambiguous, you can argue it both ways, and you can still get that watching it now.
It's not the worst that a Doctor has behaved post regeneration. You've not seen the Twin Dilemma, have you?
The choking thing. I've not seen it, but I know you're about. No, I think Venus comes down to. I think there is also, as John's been mentioning, there is a lot of emotional context to it, and I did not like the casting of Peter Capaldi. As a kid, I was like, Matt Smith is great. Why are you getting this old fucker in? I didn't know who Peter Capaldi was at the time. Obviously, Peter Capaldi is brilliant, but. Yeah, I don't know. It was the end of my era of Doctor Who, and I'm not a fan of the darker Doctors who are a bit more arrogant. Some people are.
Racist.
Oh, come. No, that's not what I meant.
What did you make of his cameo in it then?
That was terrible. It's terrible. It's terrible.
That's what I was going to say. I think that's the one thing where this episode does drop the ball is with the telephone call. I think
it's
that's
terrible.
I think that's an absolute slap in the face to Peter Capaldi. I think it's insulting. Yeah.
And Capaldi hair continuity comes out of the police box with short hair. He had long hair when he regenerated.
But I think, like I said, it's an emotional. I love Capaldi in series 10. I think he gets better as he goes on. I'm not a fan of the Doctors that are more, I wouldn't say prickish, but a bit more, not as warm to certain characters. Some people like that. I'm more a fan of
that's called character development.
No, I like.
So you're not a fan of the characters of the Doctors that aren't as warm. So, for example, the Doctors, where somebody really close to them might be expressing a deep concern about a medical issue.
That is a terrible written scene.
And that particular Doctor then goes, "No, sorry, mate, I don't do these conversations."
That's terrible.
A cold doctor who learns to care and love again over the course of their tenure. Wow, that's almost what I would call a arc of development.
But it's not a good one.
I remember those vaguely.
Look, this could go on for hours, and we ain't got the time. Amy's choice. Look, I'm a fan, but I understand why it's here. I think it's relatively.
I like Amy's choice, but again, it's that one of are there 90 stories that you'd rank above it?
Yeah, which there are
possibly.
Would I like to see, Toby come back again? God damn, yeah, he's a powerhouse of an actor.
It's really good, and it might have got a little higher if it was in a lesser season, but because it's in like the best series of New Who, it does sometimes get lost a little bit.
But John, where would you put? What would you say about Sea Devils, where this is placed? Obviously, you being Pertwee's.
I, in terms of my Pertwee markings, I don't think I marked the Sea Devils that highly.
Yeah.
It's for me, the Sea Devils is kind of remembered for those two scenes of the sword fight and then the Sea Devils coming out of the water. What I would say about the Sea Devils is to everybody, if you've watched it, go and read the Target book, listen to the novelization. It's the best novelization that you will come across, because what it actually does is it fleshes out the character of Trenchard, and it turns him from this basically kind of bumbling sidekick to what is actually quite a sympathetic character. So the novelization is well worth a read or a listen to. I think it's probably about correctly placed here, because it's not, I'd rate most Pertwee stories as higher than that, because it's just kind of functional for me.
Yeah. We got a three-way tie next on the 7.83 with Tyler the Doctor, Unicorn the Wasp, and Rise of 7 Age of Steel. Again, there's no point me having this argument because I have emotional connection to this one, so obviously I'd put it above the other two. But yeah, how has Unicorn the Wasp got? I don't know. Are these fairly placed? We're at this point now where it's little bits between episodes. Does it deserve to be in the top 100?
I personally, and don't cancel me for this because of the writer, I personally would put the Unicorn of the Wasp in my top 50. Well, that's because I am a big Agatha Christie fan. I'm a big fan of classic detective fiction. And, if you look along the marks, I think only 3 of us have given it a 10. And the rest are kind of 6s and 7s and 8s. So it probably is about in the right place. But personally, I would put the Unicorn and the Wasp a lot higher. Hand of Fear, there's an argument for it being higher because obviously it's Sarah's leaving story, and everybody loves Sarah. But I think in terms of it, the story itself, I think it's probably about fairly placed.
Yeah.
Time of the Doctor I find difficult to judge because it's quite an emotional watch. I love Matt Smith. I was prepared for him to regenerate. I wasn't prepared to watch him get old.
Yeah.
So I think those two are maybe sort of ranked about fairly. Unicorn and the Wasp I'd put about 30 places higher.
Fair enough. Next
time of the Doctor for me just seemed like a bit of a placeholder. It just seemed to be like it was there to fill the gap, to bridge the gap between one and the other. So that one for me, I think, was just a little bit high. Unicorn and Wasp, though, insofar as how it works as a story that you can actually imagine would have taken place because it still fits in with the life of Agatha Christie, is really well done.
Yeah, it's a great guest cast, and the the miming scene when the Doctor's been poisoned between David and Catherine is absolute top drawer comedy stuff, and it's the only time that you'll see an Al Jolson impression in Doctor Who.
Next up is Mind Warp on a 7.8, 7.5. It's on its own. What are we saying? Fair?
Mind Warp!
Fair?
Yeah, I think so. My boy, bless it, man.
Right, next up we got a massive draw here between Future of the Dune, the pilot, Doctor's Wife, the TV movie, Invasion of Dinosaurs, the Time Warrior. How far up does it go? Invasion and Macra Terror. Okay, there are a few here that stand out to me. Invasion and Invasion of Dinosaurs are too low. The TV movie is too high.
What?
Oh, no, I'm not a fan.
The TV movie is like rightly placed.
I think,
in the
I
top
agree. I think
100.
it's rightly placed.
I mean, this is the first I have a full memory of the TV movie. It's the first time me and Adam and Moon ever hang out. We watched it at like 12 in the morning.
I'm assuming from that Adam and Moon has given it a 0 for personal reasons. I mean, before we get into the obvious elephant in the room that we've had trailers about, I would say that The Doctor's Wife would have been number 1 on my list. I'm disappointed.
Oh, wow.
I'm disappointed to see it this low down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think it's an enjoyable watch.
After 48 years of Doctor Who, Stephen Moffat gives you something unique and something new and something fresh that has never been done before, and gives you a love letter to the TARDIS, which has been there through the entire series.
I'm scared because I gave it a 5.
Oh, well,
I just want to know why Rees Marshall gave the pilot a 6.
I mean, you say you're scared, Alex. You're kind of lucky in a way, because it's come level with Invasion of the Dinosaurs.
The pilot is a massively strong, soft reboot of the show, because it sets out the stall of what the show should be amazingly well. It's like to a certain degree Rose 2.0, because you get an introduction of and an actual backstory to your companion, and it just hits all the points of explaining of what the show should be and how it goes. It's very well done. I think that should be possibly slightly higher. I mean, it's a little bit low than what I think it should be. Fugitive of the Jadoon is, I think, too much, because
agreed.
Yeah, the Barrowman cameo was just there to have a bit of remember this person, who we should rather forget.
Future of the Jadoon.
I mean, to be fair, it is quite ironic because it's a story that has a prick popping up.
Future of the Jadoon is one of those stories that, for me, I think is brilliant on the first watch and then has minimal rewatchability. For me, because it's built on the reveals, and when you know when the reveals are coming, it does lose a bit of that kick. It's still solid. It's not terrible, but for me, it doesn't hit the upper echelons. It's certainly not on the level of Invasion of Dinosaurs or the Invasion. Right.
Are we going to address the elephant in the room?
You can go on. This is what we're waiting for. Go on. This is what we're waiting for.
I was away when this list was read out, so I didn't realise.
Invasion of the Dinosaurs. Rees Marshall, you're giving it a 6. Explain your working.
Oh God.
Probably would have worked better as a 4-parter. The dinosaur effects aren't very good.
Incorrect. Big red marks. See me. We love it because the dinosaurs are rubbish. We know that we're going to get a series at season 11 collection set with better dinosaurs in it, and we're still going to watch the rubbish dinosaurs. The end of episode 3 is one of the best cliffhangers that you'll ever come across. It's a beautiful Stone Cold Steve Austin, do not trust anybody style story. You've got the wonderful character development with Mike Yates. You cannot trust anybody. You've got John Bennett, and he's not wearing a yellow face. It's brilliant. Elijah Grayling, you gave it a 5.
Here we go.
Just for the dinosaurs alone, just not.
Oh, come on. It's a
Yeah.
70s television story.
And I've seen better.
What were you? I mean, what were you two expecting? Jurassic fucking Park in 1974.
Of course.
Who mobile?
The first
Who
part, I know John.
Who mobile?
I mean,
First
that's
part
right.
is one of the best parts.
Episode 1 is one of the most top tier 25 minutes of Who you will see.
Yes. Again, we knew this was coming. We reviewed it on the podcast. It's a fun episode. Go back and watch it.
I mean,
First
you
time
two are
I've seen it.
lucky that I've only had 2 fucking beers.
Okay.
Right.
Anything
I'm
can
gonna-
happen in the next half hour.
Right, I'm going to kick off a little bit because
Well, I mean, you say kick off.
I mean I don't know. I think is the invasion a bit low?
Um,
I think
For
it's
me-
slightly close.
Nah, it's sort of about there.
I think
yeah,
it's
for
about right.
me, I think possibly, and then I think about Troughton stories, and there's at least 3 Troughton stories that I prefer.
Fair dues.
You know, like, is it a bit low on the face of it? But then you think War Games, Enemy of the World, Evil of the Daleks.
Yep.
Mind Robber. You
Seems
know,
fair for me.
there's better out there. See to death.
Yeah, fair. Right, we've got another 4-way tie coming up next. We've got the Ark in space. We got Planet of the Daleks. We got Mind of Evil. Well, it's 5-way. Sorry, Dark Master Planet and Time Meddler. One stands out to me already. Time Meddler should be higher.
Yes.
The Ark in space needs to be higher.
Right,
That is
Reese
a classic.
Marshall. I'm going to steal John Cook's line. Explain your working. 4? Time Meddler 4?
It makes you wonder why Gallifrey Forever 97 comes on your podcast, Alex.
I'm sorry, but a 4. Okay, I've jokingly but this is one of those I looked at and I went, what? And he knows this because when he was doing the list originally, I looked at him and I went,
Yeah,
4?
Reese, answer this on what is your potentially last appearance on
Unfortunately, he's already penned in for the next episode. So,
You can back out now.
Then perhaps.
For now.
for now, friendship out the window all over Time Meddler. No, I think it's fun.
I think it's
okay.
a slow watch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I
Interesting.
yeah. Yeah. The pacing of it. I just think.
Tis fair.
Yeah.
Daleks Master Plan, obviously, it's one of those that isn't epic, but there's no proper, like, obviously, you've got audio and stuff.
Listen to the audios, read the novelizations. It's very, very good. Do not be restricted by TV media. There is so much out there for you to enjoy. And Audible, wonderful plug coming here. If you want to give me credits, feel free. Audible do this wonderful thing where a lot of the target novelizations, they put them in random bundles where you can get 5 target novelizations for 1 credit.
That's good.
You know, so effectively for £8 you can get 5 Doctor Who target novelization audiobooks. Obviously they're like in random bundles that they're put together with very loose themes, so you'll have like across 4 or 5 different Doctors stories that you wouldn't necessarily put together. But yeah, Dalek Master Plan, consume it however you can.
Sweet.
In my view, the other 3 are a bit low. Ark in Space for me would be top 30. It's the scariest for me that Doctor Who has ever been.
And the music alone.
Yeah,
The music alone, just top tier. Dudley Simpson.
it screams out Alien 4 years before Alien, and you know that Ridley Scott will have seen this when he was making Alien.
Okay, it's fine. I thought I gave it the lowest score, but I didn't, so I'm okay.
Planet of the Daleks, in my view, again, favorite Dalek story. Mind of Evil.
Obviously, check out the episode. Sorry.
Yeah, it's great. Have a listen to the Timeless podcast episodes. Myself, Owen, and Alex had a wonderful discussion on Mind of Evil. It was only recent. It'll be quite fresh in the podcast. Somebody who wasn't on that particular podcast was Mr. Rees Marshall. 5 out of 10. Explain your working.
I I'm seeing a recurring theme here.
Yeah.
We knew this was coming. There's literally, obviously, this has already been released. There's literally a hype package for the 100th episode, which is John doing a wrestling promo about how he's going to paint the TARDIS walls red with his blood.
Yeah, I've only watched it once. I think it's a very the filming stuff's very good, but again, it's a 6-parter. It does. Is it a 6 or is it longer?
Can't even remember how many parts it is.
But yeah,
7, 6. It's 6, isn't it?
It's 6.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, it's too long.
I enjoy it.
But- Yeah,
I see what you mean. I see what you mean, but
It's one of those. It's one of those rare examples of a 6-part story where actually all of the different strands that are being told come together very, very nicely. So you've got these 3 different things going on. You've got the whole thing with the Keller machine in the prison, and you've got the Thunderbolt missile, and then you've got the whole thing with the World Peace Conference at the same time, and it all ties together in a nice little package at the end. It's wonderfully written. If you want to see a Bake Under Siege story done properly, set it in a fucking prison.
There we go. Right, next up, Zygon Invasion and Zygon Inversion on an 8 out of 10. Virtually 8.05. But it's on its own. It snicked it. I think this is okay. So it's fair. I think it's fair. I think it's a bit. I think it doesn't need to be 2 parts long. I think Jenna Coleman unfortunately isn't great in it, but I think the Zygons are brilliant in it. And I think
I'd
that's
say it's one of her best
glorious.
performances.
yeah.
I'm not a massive fan of Evil Clara. I don't know what it is.
No, it gives her something different to do. I'd say it's one of her performances. It's a story. The Zygons are an alien that actually really lend themselves to a story like this of who's good, who's bad sort of thing. I'm a big fan. It's
Fair.
It's another one that'd be in my top 10, probably in my top 5. But I know a lot of people view it as well. It's just a speech. But I see more from that. I see more of the. I take more political analogy from it.
I think there are stronger Capaldi stories for me. Jenna Coleman really shows her range by playing a emotionless sociopath. So, I mean, what more can you say?
There we go. Right, we got another big tie. 8.1. Mum and the Orient Express. Impossible Astronaut Day of the Moon. Greatest Show in the Galaxy. City of Death. Terror of the Zygons. Right, I think we can all say now that we've gone past the 8 margin, I think most people think all these next stories coming up are good to great. Right? Yeah. We can all say that.
Okay.
Yep.
So I'm still throwing out my Jenna Coleman pose.
Well done. Sorry, for me, this could be a bit uncontroversial. I'm happy where City of Death is placed. I think this is accurate for the quality of the story. Terror of the Zygons, however, a bit low.
I think City of Death gets bigged up.
Agreed.
A little sort of, maybe a little more than it should. So I think this is maybe.
This is one where you like to ask Adam his feelings towards City of Death.
Adam Amoon's just I see his eye movement. I see Adam Amoon's eyes. He's like, if I speak, I am in trouble.
I mean, it's like it's 55 on the list, so that's like top 5th, top 20%.
Ad, what we saying?
Well, I probably I've definitely rated it higher, and mainly just down to the script itself, just because of the one-liners, and wonderfully delivered. You're beautiful, probably. I say what so quotable. What a wonderful butler. He's so violent. Julian Glover's great as the villain. Probably one of the best sort of villain performances. Of all time, I'd say, and I think it's one of those that just. You don't feel the pace at all. It's like it's even. I know it's a 4-parter, so it's not any longer. But it just clicks so well, and everything's there that needs to be there, and it's got a great overall. Yeah, just love that story.
Fair enough, man. Mummy and the Orient Express should be a bit higher for me. I'm a fan. I'm a big fan of that one. That was one of the first ever podcast episodes. Go back to
I think there's a lot of subtleties that get easily overlooked in that episode.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's brilliant.
I think it was the first time we had Jamie Matheson, who has been one of the best additions of a writer to New
Bring
Who.
him back. Please bring
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
interestingly,
Frank Skinner's living every Doctor Who fan's dream.
Yeah.
yes, absolutely. I think as well, the foretold is one of the best villains concepts ever. A villain that only the person dying can see. I actually like the fact you see the countdown clock on the screen. I think that's a really smart idea.
It's a really good concept for building up tension.
And also, it's done in real time as well, which is something that Doctor Who often gives you a countdown clock, but this one gives you a proper countdown clock and states the time. Do you know what? I'd love to see Gus come back some way, shape, or form.
Oh, Gus is
because that's like a little open-ended thing that never got followed through, and I hope maybe that's something that Big Finish could pick up.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's brilliant. I think it's one of the first. Although I've kind of crapped on Capaldi, I do like a lot of Capaldi stories. I think a lot of them are brilliant, which we'll get onto later on this. I think this is my first Capaldi story. I go, this is a stone cold classic. Like, this is one of those, I can put this episode on any time of day, watch it, love it. We spoke about Matheson. His second story hasn't even appeared yet, which shows how highly we think of that one as a group. Yeah, I think it's brilliant. Impossible Struck Down at the Moon, again, for me, a bit higher. I think the scope is brilliant. I think the silence, again, we're talking about brilliant concepts of villains, brilliant. Matt Smith is on form.
The portrayal of Richard Nixon is brilliant, and we need Colton Everett the third back again.
Yep. But next up, we got another big tie, and we are about to go into the top 50. Essentially.
Sorry. By the way, yes, Terror's Icon's too low.
Yes. We are about to go into the top 50 essentially now, guys. So this is a tie for
ding.
2 overall.
Ding,
we got Rosa, the girl in the fireplace. No, the fire's Pompeii, the girl in the fireplace, deadly assassin, evil of the Daleks, Ted the planet, destruction of the Daleks, War Machines. No, sorry, the War Machines is not part of that. It's a bit higher. Right. One stands out for me here. I enjoyed the story. Fire's Pompeii is not in the top 50 of Doctor Who.
Okay, Alex, I do have a question for you.
Do you hate Romans?
Do you hate Cybermen? You gave the 10th planet a 6.
Oh, it's boring.
They are the creepiest iteration of the Cybermen.
I don't like the Mondasian Cybermen. It's the voice for me. It pisses me off.
They are what make the Cybermen.
I agree. I like the design. It's the voice.
They aren't robots.
I agree.
They should never be robots.
I agree. I agree with you. I don't like the voice. I'm not going to shit on Hartnell.
Terrifying.
I know it just annoys me. But I'm not going to shit on Hartnell for this one for obvious reasons. But I like the idea of the base under siege kind of thing with I think it's brilliant. Overall, for me, I think maybe on a reflection, I put this at a 7. I think maybe I put it like a 7.5. Maybe I have underrated it a little bit. But yeah, for me, it's not top 50 Doctor Who.
So what you're saying is you don't like the Cybermen, but you prefer the space racist in Rosa. More highly.
Yeah, I think Rosa is ranked too highly. I honestly
agree. I agree. I don't think this ends up being Jodie's best, but it's not. I agree. I don't like the space races more. I think Rosa's a better story than 10th Planet. But
space racist who can't commit violence because he's got a chip in his brain.
It's so dumb.
You're neutering your own villain of the piece.
I bizarrely sat on the sidelines of a very heated Twitter argument. I was going to say it earlier today, but a couple of weeks ago, when I was tweeting about a story that's going to come up later, where there was a discussion on racism and that, and 2 guys were basically having it out on my timeline about Rosa. And both of them were wrong because it's not completely disastrous. It's not absolutely perfect. It just exists.
Yeah.
Does it suffer from the Chibnall fault of Basil exposition? Abso-fucking-lutely. Do most kids these days know who Rosa Parks is? Yes, they learn it in schools. They don't need to be told all that.
All I can say is I didn't.
But they probably didn't cover that in Exeter. You probably still have bus segregation in Exeter, but but do you have buses in Exeter?
We do. We have
Okay.
Stagecoach. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but I don't know if it's a brand that
You have
goes
a
outside.
I
of
do.
You have a
Yeah,
stagecoach?
we're aware of Stagecoach.
No.
We
The
don't have
brand is
buses,
called.
We only have stagecoaches.
No,
I would say I love the end of Rosa. I love the final scene on the bus and the tension with that. I think that's very nicely played out. I think it's a little bit convoluted how they get there.
Yeah, and you have this like, and this is the thing. It's sort of like, while I understand, they got Mallory Blackman to write it, who I think you needed to have someone like her write the story, but unfortunately, there's bits where it just like the bit where, for me anyway, I feel like the bit where Yaz and Ryan both talk about how racism has affected them. Completely understand it, but it feels shoehorned. It doesn't feel like a natural flow to it, to the story. And it just seems a bit shoehorned in.
It doesn't sit quite as comfortably today with Yaz being a police officer.
Yeah.
I would say Girl in the Fireplace is too low here. He can confirm, but I would suspect that Adam Mamoon will say that The Deadly Assassin is too low here.
Oh yeah, definitely too low.
I don't like part 3, even though I know it's brilliant, but I can't watch it.
It's wonderful.
I don't like clowns. That bit where he wipes the sand. No.
Anything that annoys Mary Whitehouse is wonderful.
Every time I watch Deadly Assassin, I skip part 3. I know it's wonderful.
It's Tom on his own without a companion, let loose,
and it works.
And yeah, it pokes holes in the pomposity of It's the first. It's what I think. Is it one of the first times you can think of that you see the Gallifreyan Society as being pompous and not actually like that great as well? To be honest with you,
yeah, I think so.
It's the first time you see enough of them to kind of pick up the flaws.
Yeah,
quite how corrupt they are.
Yeah.
So in the case of lore building for like the show as a whole, it does an amazing job as well, and it's like a murder mystery. And it plays out that well, a murder mystery and detective story in one, sort of like I think you was the analogy of people often make is the Manchurian Candidate, isn't it? It is. It's a stellar part. I think certainly one of Tom's strongest serials for me.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think it is. By the way, I was joking about part 3. I can't watch it. It does freak me out. But that's what it's meant to do. So it does a job out. Fires Pompeii is too high, ever so slightly. It's not like it's very good. It's not in the top 50 of Doctor Who. It's not. It has a really good ending. I mean, a really good ending with Donna and the Doctor. But the Pyrovals are a meh villain. Capaldi's okay in it. But overall, I think the High Priestess of the Sibylline doesn't really work for me. But the ending, fantastic.
Yeah. Should it be level with The Deadly Assassin and The Girl in the Fireplace? Probably not.
No.
And you like one member of the Soothsayer probably more than the others, don't you, Alex?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Okay, next up on its own, this should be higher as well, The War Machines. Ad, you watched this most recently. Should it be higher than where it is? I think it's one of the best.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed The War Machines. Yeah.
Where is it number wise? Give us a number on The War Machines.
46th.
Do you know what? I would say that I'd say that's all right. I'm content with that. It's a strong story.
On a purely objective level, I think 46 is fair. On a purely personal level, this is, of course, the story which features Mike Reed as a stuntman and extra, and as such, it should be in the top 10.
Okay.
And the ending to part 3, I just absolutely adore when everybody's running away, but the Doctor just stands there defiant, and the camera zooms in. It's just that one shot in itself was perfect.
Just the fact that like 2 episodes in, the companion goes home and gets replaced. It's quality.
And not being funny, it's all it's bringing your first Doctor, back to the contemporary era as well. So that's like quite a strong thing too, I think, as well. And like an Earth-based story with the Doctor, and it's a contemporary one. It's amazingly strong on that point.
Yeah. Next up is Sharda with 8.3. What are we saying? I've not seen this one. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Cool.
I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, I enjoy it more than City of Death. That could be taken as a controversial opinion. I do. But I just, the idea of Professor Chronotis as the whole is superb.
Right, this next lot of
big shout going out to my girl Victoria Burgoyne.
There we go. This next 4, I think, is going to be interesting. We got the War Games. I'm sorry, Adam, but it's Pyramids of Mars, School Reunion, and Utopia, Shadow Jumps, that's the Time Lords. And I know Pyramids of Mars on your list would be number 1.
Yeah.
It currently sits on average about the low 40s.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'll just probably just do my piece. Yeah. Sorry.
I was going to say, by the way, Timeless Podcast Classic, Adam's first ever appearance.
Oh, yeah.
Like episode 8, I think. Yeah. Pyramids of Mars, like old classic, that one. Just going to say, you want to hear Adam and Moon love Pyramids of Mars, go listen to that from 2020, early 2020 as well.
Yeah. Pyramids of Mars is a classic and should be higher than this. I am going to ask a question in words of one syllable. How is the War Games not top 10?
Agreed.
I know that the answer is going to be too long. If only Classic Who had been separated into 25-minute episodes that you could watch weekly. It's a masterpiece. It's Troughton's swan song. It's very rare that Doctors save one of their best performances for their regeneration story, but Troughton does that. It introduces Time Lords. For it to be sat here on like number 41, I don't get it.
Yeah. And I do want you, though, to say your piece about Pyramids of Mars, because it is a passion love of yours, so I'll let you have it.
Go for it.
Yeah,
I thought I'd had finished. That's why.
Oh, no, sorry. No, yeah.
That's right, man.
Yeah, phenomenal story. Tom Baker is absolutely superb. The I'm Not a Human Being, I Walk Eternity scene is just incredible. Great villain in Sutek, and I love the scene where the Doctor takes Sarah and Lawrence to the alternative 1980 and see the cause and the effect that Sutek would have. I think it just kind of gives me chills when the Doctor said, "Oh, you've just looked into alternative time." So we've got to sort this out to put time back in its place. And it's quite nice continuity wise that was Unit as well. Like the base was, Unit before Unit became a thing. That's quite cool. Gabriel Wolf as the voice is, that also, chills. I do feel like, Doctor Who stories are only as good as your villain. And my God, you have a good one. Even Bernard Archer as Marcus Gumman is very creepy as well. And I feel like that emotional, when Lawrence is sort of, he's like, oh, he's still my brother, and, eventually meets his demise to his other brother, which is really tragic. And yeah, no, there's so much I could say and praise it. And, it's weird how part 4 literally, Sutek makes the Doctor, let's just say, his bitch, and it's whoa. It's, yeah.
Yeah. Mate, I'm with you on this.
Ernie Clements, the poacher, dying the way that we would all want to go.
And you're going to be happy with this because
crushed by breasts.
And you're going to be happy with this because I'm going to say that this episode is my second favorite Tom Baker story. John knows what my favorite is because we've done a podcast on it. But this is my second favorite. I think it's brilliant, and as I said in that show, I've seen it 3 times since. Or 2 times since. I've seen it 3 times. It's fun. It's 4 parts. It goes at click, like you say. Sutek, possibly one of the best villains in Doctor Who history. For me, like you say, Gabriel Wolf. I love as well. It's going to be something that I read, obviously Classic Who and such. The way he's framed throughout the story as well is superb. They really make him feel massive and dangerous, even though he's only really sat down for most.
He
of the
sat
story.
down. Yeah.
And it comes very close to doing that horror of Fang Rock thing where everybody dies.
Yes, that's true.
I think
Yeah,
it's only like Ahmed, the guide at the very start, that doesn't die, and that's because he runs away.
And I feel like, you know, I just keeping to the TV. I know he's come back a big finish, but like I wouldn't want them to bring back Sutek because I feel like at least with just the TV chronology, he works perfect as that.
Yeah.
Great one-off villain.
However, I will say he has appeared in something better, which is that weird comedic short, which is Sutek post Doctor Who.
That too, you know.
Year before Sutek.
Has anyone else seen that? I don't know what. Do you know what it's called? But it's
Mummy,
wonderful. The post Sutek trying to get work post Pyramids of Mars.
Of course, it was on the Pyramids DVD.
But we later learned something called Fury from the Deep. So Sutek
Right.
was the cause of that.
Here's my next one, right? School Reunion is not in the top 50 of Doctor Who. Shoots me down. Look, I think Tennant and Sarah Jane, Tennant and Liz Sladen are brilliant in it. I think, and overall, so is Anthony Head, right? The issue for me in this one, and I'm sorry, Cookie, I don't know if you agree, is Rose. I find her unbearable throughout the whole thing.
I mean, Rose is unbearable throughout the entirety of Series 2.
But mostly in this story.
Which is why Series 2 is god awful and is the worst series of New Who.
It's close. But yeah, for me, I think in this one, it really undermines Sarah Jane coming back. Also, Liz Lane hit the ground running. She's fantastic. I even think the Krillitanes are okay. I think they're very lucky they had a brilliant actor in Anthony Head portraying the main one. Otherwise, they would just be cannon fodder. I think the fact that pool scene is still really brilliant. This is the first episode in Tennant's era where he's legitimately very, very good.
I think the scene where Sarah Jane finds the TARDIS is like epic acting, but I tend to think of this more as a backdoor pilot for the Sarah Jane adventures than I do as an episode of Doctor Who.
Yeah,
because you could just take this out. You could take this out of the show and say, this is the pilot for this series we're going to make with Sarah Jane Smith. And that's perfect, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's just, I think it is really good. Like I said about 25 minutes ago, all these stories from up to now are good to great. This one for me, though, doesn't deserve to be on par with the rest. Utopia, Sundown, Last of Time Lords, it's a shame because it's really good for 98% of the runtime until the end. I don't know if I like the whole Archangel network of him then saying the word doctor and he becomes Super Saiyan. I don't know if I like that. But John Simm's brilliant in it, and so is Derek Jacobi in the first part.
You like the idea of a phone network in spy film?
I just love Lenny Henry.
I think that if Utopia was separate to the Sound of Drums and Last of the Time Lords, it would have scored significantly higher.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah,
I think it's dragged down by the other two. That reveal of the Jacobi Master is a superb surprise. And as Jacobi's opening the watch, you literally see in his eyes the change between Professor Yana and the Master. And you just sit there going, how the bloody hell does he do that?
Yeah. It's phenomenal. I have to say though, I do like some of the Dust of Time Lords. I'm a Martha fan. I think it's really cool. She gets to save the day. I like the whole concept of her telling the story of the Doctor. I also think John Sim is much better here than he is in End of Time by a long way. I think overall, I think Martha's exit's really good. I don't like the whole resolution from saying the word Doctor and he becomes Super Saiyan. I think it's really weird. In quite a grounded finale, quite a realistic kind of dystopian finale, for them to go, oh, he can now fly because they're saying his name. I don't know, it doesn't really work for me. But coming in at 40th place of all time on its own with an 8.4 is Terror of the Autons. I think this is fair, you know?
I think that's reasonable.
Yeah.
Very reasonable.
next up, this is probably going to be the biggest controversial thing for me because I've not seen it coming in equal to some stories on aggregate. Is Green Death, Frontier in Space, Three Doctors, and The Power of the Daleks. I've not seen Green Death, so.
Well, you've not seen it, Alex. You've not seen it, Alex.
Hold up. I went for a wee and I come back and you say you've not seen The Green Death.
I mean, you've not seen it, Alex, so you can take my word from it when I tell you that it's a top 20 story. And for it to be sat here on like equal 37th or 36th or whatever it is a bit of a slap in the face. It is superb. At the risk of sounding like a stuck record, Rees Marshall, 6 out of 10. Explain your working.
Mm,
And you're not allowed to say it's too long because it's not.
I'd,
Is it 6 parts or is it 4?
It's 6 parts, but it's not too long. It fills them out perfectly.
Okay.
Because not only does it tell you a story about global corruption and these alien maggots, but it also gives you the story about Jo growing into being her own woman and flying the coop.
It's started to seem for quite a while, but I don't. Yeah, I think the end scene's amazing, but I think I don't think it's there's better John Pertwee stories in my.
I'd say the best thing about having to go at Rees is he's so cool. Like I love the fact that there's quite a mix of personalities in there. He just goes, "Oh yeah, look, I'm not apologizes for it."
Alex, Alex, please rephrase that. I'm not having a go at him. I'm just disappointed.
No,
I don't mean like you're shouting at him. I mean within the podcast context.
I'm just disappointed.
But yeah.
What's my favourite brig quote of this serial?
I don't know. I've not watched it.
Beef. It is beef.
Beef.
Oh, is that where that comes from?
It's beef. It's beef.
It's when I get name checked in a Doctor Who episode, and I can't.
Didn't somebody in our group chat in 2020 make an edit where that was said over and over again? It sped up slowly, and the world blew up.
Well, that was years ago.
Yes, I remember
it's a very old video a friend of mine made, and it's like, I can't help but not love this story purely for that reason.
Well,
and I mean, Alex, you have the season 10 box set.
Yeah.
You've handed in your final essay. You've got a 3-day weekend. I'm going to ask you, please, to do something for me and watch The Green Death this weekend, and then just let me know what you think.
I'll watch it after the Arsenal West Ham game.
Please watch it this weekend and let me know what you think, because I hate gatekeeping and stuff like that, but I would say you're not a fully fledged Doctor Who fan until you've seen The Green Death.
It's fair. I've not seen a few episodes I should have seen. It's fair.
But of the ones that I'm aware of that you haven't seen, I think that's the one that you need to see, because you'll then understand Jo as a character, and you'll have even more love for Kate Manning as an actor once you see it.
Yeah, because on top of that, as much as Jo already had agency at that point, the lead to what actually gets you into the story is Jo deciding to do her own thing away from the Doctor, that ultimately leads to her moving away from the Doctor.
Yeah. And what you get is, throughout the entire story, you get that sense of the closeness of friendship and relationship between John and Katie, and actually how close they were and the bond that they had between them. It's beautiful.
I'll have to check it out.
It's an all-time top 20, yeah.
Right. 3 Doctors and 30 will equal 30 something. It's 35th technically, 37th technically on the board.
I mean, best anniversary story for me, but then I would say that.
For me, it's I love the back and forth between John and Patrick. That is unrivaled. It is the best part of the story. For me, the rest of it's kind of bad. Not bad. Bad's the word. No, not bad. In comparison to other anniversary specials.
Where this wins out for me over others is that as we'll come on to, other anniversary specials had production issues in terms of getting people in to work for them. So did this. William Hartnell was not a well man. He was not fit really to contribute fully. I think that of the 3 main anniversary specials, this had the best workaround for that. This did the best that they could. They didn't introduce a new character and recast somebody. They didn't just use old clips. They went, right, okay, we're going to give you a legitimate explanation for why this guy can only contribute this much. Also introduces Omega, wonderful character.
Yeah.
And probably the best final line in any episode of Who. You wouldn't believe me anyway. Sup, ready woman.
Jesus.
And without going into details or naming names, a couple of years ago, actually, on my birthday weekend, a couple of years ago, there was a watch along of the 3 Doctors, which a lot of us sat and watched. And a certain person that was previously in the Who community and is no more sat through the entire watch along and spoke very loudly through the entire fucking thing. And I could still sit and enjoy the 3 Doctors in spite of that fucking idiot doing that. They shall remain unnamed because for the last year they've been persona non grata.
Yeah, but yeah, that's it. I mean, it's the first time I think you had like a multi-Doctor story. You had 2 guys coming back to do the role, and they picked it up like they've never been away as well.
Yep.
Where it is position wise, I know. I'd say it's where it is position wise. It's probably fair, to be honest with you, but in itself, it's a great story.
Yeah, I think it's probably fairly placed. I think I'd probably place the other 2 anniversary specials that were above it, below it.
Okay, right. Next up, this could be the controversial one because there's one here I really don't know how it's got this high. Okay, Tales of Wing Chiang, Empty Child, Doctor Dances, Blink, Voyage of the Damned, Partners in Crime, Waters of Mars. 1/6 half me here. Partners in Crime, a fun episode, but not in the top.
I love the scenes with Bernard Cribbins as well, particularly the last scene where you look through the telescope and see Scott Donna up in the sky in the TARDIS. Just this performance and everything. And I think the best bit about Partners in Crime is just the reintroduction of Donna, her family, and everything. But yeah,
it's lovely. It's lovely, but it's not in the top 35 of Doctor Who.
I think what a lot of people forget is that the Rose return was a surprise. We knew that Rose was coming back in series 4, but we'd been told that she was coming back for the finale. So to have her turn up in at the end of episode 1 of series 4 was an absolute drop your bacon sandwich moment. And what a bloody lovely surprise that was.
Yeah, I feel like this is unfortunately a disadvantage because I wasn't around. I was around, but I wasn't a Who fan at the time.
I think you had to. I think it's this high because it's being judged in that context.
Yeah, that's fine.
The chemistry between Tennant and Sate is wonderful, but for me, I'd put it this high up because of actually that moment when you see the hair, and I'm like, hang on a minute, and then she turns around and it's like, I screamed.
And you're like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, I screamed.
I think it sets the stall out very well for what is going to be the ongoing relationship between Donna and the Doctor. It does that amazingly well.
It kicks all the romance right out the window, and it's like, this is just 2 people that are going to be mates traveling around together.
Yep. No, it is good. I want to say that it is good. I just don't know if I put it this high. But it is good. Waters of Mars, I'm in the minority, and I think it's a bit but again,
slightly overrated.
Is it in the top 30? I don't know.
Yeah, slightly overrated.
I think in the case of having a special where everybody dies in New Who, apart from I suppose was it even in Midnight, not everyone dies, but pretty much in Waters of Mars, everybody dies, and the person who you think is the person he saves ends up killing themselves to the preservation of the timeline. Actually, is a big thing, to be honest with you. Yeah. You look at this is the first time that perhaps you look at Tennant in a negative way.
And
That
you kinda
Doctor in a
go-
negative way.
Yeah, you kind of go, you're a bit of a dick, mate.
Yeah, like I said, it comes from a place of personal what you enjoy, what you don't. But again, I like the Doctor when it's when they're kind of nice and fun. Again, it's just personal preference. I understand the story they're telling is not that, and I'm not saying that it's a bad story to tell. It's just not for me. Which
No, it's fine. You don't like that. Maybe Peter Capaldi might have pushed a robot out of a window, but he can drive a woman to suicide, and you're fine with that, Alex. No, that's cool.
no, I didn't say I like that. I didn't say. I literally just said it's not for me. I literally just said the words. It's not for me.
No, that's cool. That's cool. Cool.
So what you're saying is this is overrated. It's too highly placed.
For me, yes.
I'd agree with that.
I think it's good. I think the flood are the best thing about it. Also, Tennant. I think Tennant's doing a good job with everything he's got. But I said that it's a bad. It's not a story that I particularly enjoy. I'm happy to see Voyage of the Damned up here, though. I understand maybe it's not the best top 30 of Doctor Who, but I really enjoy it. Like, it's really fun. There are obviously some really dark moments to it, and there is obviously a very sad ending. But it's up there with Christmas Carol for me as one of the best Christmas specials.
Who doesn't love disaster movies? Who doesn't love Jeffrey Palmer? Who doesn't love Bernard Cribbins? Who doesn't love the Vox robots, which, let's face it, the Heavenly Host are a nod to here? Who the fuck doesn't love Kylie Minogue? This is brilliant.
Who doesn't love
the Titanic?
Yeah, exactly.
Who doesn't love Clive Swift? Ben Kirk.
Yeah. Who doesn't? Allegedly, who doesn't love Russell Tovey?
Who?
You know, it's. Alex, we'll tell you when we finish recording.
Okay. Do I need to hang on? Do I need to edit that out?
No.
Keep it in.
Okay.
It's a deep cut that people like. Oh.
It's an in joke that people will get. It's not slanderous. There's plenty of evidence. But it's wonderful stuff.
Ask people that aren't me where they feel about all
we'll
these
tell
ones.
you after. It's wonderful stuff.
Elijah, Rees, ask Rees, get Rees to give you something positive, and don't be mean to Rees, because you've just been horrible to him all night,
okay.
Alex.
Right, Rees. Obviously, you're a big fan.
I just challenged where he's scored down scores.
Hang on.
Fucking 10 out of 10.
Hang on. I'm sorry. We've not been horrible to Rees. Rees has done this to himself. He's the one that
wrote the scores.
Yeah, he's
Pay the price.
I've not been horrible to Rees. He's shat on John Pertwee's grave.
I wouldn't go that far, Rees. I wouldn't say you shat on anyone's grave. But okay, right, Rees. What are you saying about these stories? I know obviously you're a bit interestingly given Talon's 6 here. You're seeing Partners in Crime 6 and Waters of Mars 6. So do you assume that a lot of these are a bit overrated? I'm not saying that to dog you out, but I'm asking you genuinely this time.
Interesting.
Do you think some of these are a bit too high?
6.
Yeah, no.
I didn't give Waters of Mars a 6. What was that about?
No, sorry, you gave it. You gave it a 10. I read it wrong.
I was going to say.
Okay, you gave Partners in Crime a 6. You gave Partners in Crime 6 and Voyage of the Damned a 6.
Better Christmas specials, probably. Yeah, I keep saying about the episodes are probably not the.
It's one of the better Christmas specials above A Christmas Carol, that's for sure.
Elijah.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I'm with Elijah on this one.
I mean, Titanic.
How
can you beat Titanic?
It's got the Queen in it. God damn it.
Blink.
Respect the Queen, Alex.
Yeah.
Blink, I would even say is a bit too high.
Defender of the Realm.
It's in the top 30, but
Empress of India.
Right. Can I generally say, right? Obviously, we've got this here. Who thinks in this list?
Do you hate the Queen, Alex?
I love the Queen.
You wanted the Queen to die. No bank holiday. No bank. I tell you what. I take it. No.
What? How have we got here? What? But I don't want to keep Queen to die. But
Alex's team, Meghan.
I can assure you he's probably not.
Oh no! Right. Moving on. How do we what do we think of Blink in the top 30-ish? I think too high.
Right, time of
Well
Angels.
deserved.
Time of Angels and Flesh and Stone is better.
Yes.
Nah, don't agree.
It's
agree.
it's overhyped.
No, do you know what? I
Good
don't.
episode.
I don't mind it because it's very much like a sort of 70s horror movie. If you've ever seen like the Grindhouse trailers and stuff like that, which like Gage shows up in the Edgar Wright one, it's like a sort of 70s horror movie done in New Who. So I sort of like that. That's a sort of like a bit of a love letter to the gothic horror that you had back in the Tom era. So I do like Blink for that reason.
No, I like Blink, but
I think
don't.
that's fair
I
because
don't.
usually it's like the top of the top, isn't it? And it's like the most.
Yeah, I don't think it needs to be like absolutely at the top, but where its place is great,
right.
Yeah.
Okay, next up, Empty Child Doctor Dancers. Beef, you gave us a 5.
Really?
Yeah, I do. I just think it's a little.
Okay.
It's sort of like it's. Does it need to be 2 parts? No, it doesn't. Could it be 1 part? Yeah. Do I think it's a little bit overrated? Do I like more? Are there other Eccleston stories I like more? Yeah, I do.
Is it bad that I say that this is Moffat's worst pre-showrunner script? Is that bad to say? Gun the Fireplace is better.
Oh, I would certainly.
Blinks.
I think having seen all of the stuff he's done, of course he is. He's capable of more. This is just like it's sort of It's sort of I have no real feelings towards it. Does it need to be as high as this? For me, probably not. It depends on where you find yourself and where you sit. Do you need to see John Barrowman?
Well.
Do you need to see John Barrowman doing sitting on top of a bomb? Probably not.
I will say, however,
I'll be honest. I'll be honest. I wouldn't object to seeing that now.
Yeah, of course it was. Yeah,
and also level with this. Finally, as John's got his hat on, is the Talons of Weng Chiang. Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you know what?
Okay. Do you know what? I'm going to set the ball rolling on this one. This is an all-time 10 out of 10 story, and anybody that doesn't see that for whatever reason is talking out of their ass and not seeing it for what it is.
It's a product of its time.
Yeah,
I didn't.
It's a love letter to the Victorian age.
I didn't give it the lowest score, so I'm okay.
All the characters on that are massively on point, relevant. It's a detective story set in the Victorian era. What more could you ask for? I'm sorry, it presses all the right buttons,
and it has spawned the greatest bromance in Doctor Who history.
Yeah,
Jago and Lightfoot.
So are we saying higher here?
Big Finish got 12 box sets out of 2 side characters.
Well,
in this story.
I think it's rightly placed.
Okay,
I'd put it higher. I'd put it in the top 10.
I would say
think
that
it's fine.
Pyramids of Mars and War Games is better than this, for sure.
I'd say they're in the top 10 with it.
Yeah, no, this for me is a good episode, but nothing more. I think Tom isn't at his best here.
Tom is absolutely imperious here.
I don't. The best bit about it is Jago and Lightfoot for me.
Tom is
Detroit.
having the time of his life and is on fire here.
I don't like the
He gives-
costume.
Tom and Louise give you Henry Higgins and Eliza Doolittle without
Who?
even trying.
I don't know what that is. I'm sorry.
What to do?
Oh, is that Dr. Doolittle? Oh, okay. I've seen
No.
Oh my god.
Henry Higgins and Eliza Doolittle are the 2 main characters in My Fair Lady. A
What's
Victorian gentleman and a flower girl. He teaches her to
Pygmalion.
be a lady and they fall in love.
Okay, I don't know what that is. I've never heard of it. Again,
That sounds like a you problem.
That's a lack of reading, Alex.
I didn't read as a kid. No, I did.
And it
I mean,
shows.
it's a lack of watching the right films and stuff as well.
Unfortunately.
I mean, but for a man who wears shirts like you do, you are very non-versed in classic musicals.
I think this shirt's okay today. I don't think this is too bad. But hey, that's my opinion. Now, on its own, just above this with 8.5, a bit higher though, it's 8.56, is The Seeds of Doom. I've not watched it.
In the bin, Alex.
I'd probably put it top 20. I think it's maybe a little low. Mr. Malone.
Seeds of Doom, or the Seeds of Death.
Seeds of Doom.
Yeah, I think it should be higher.
Mr. Malone, what you saying?
Yeah, this is just about right for me.
Yeah, I'd say it's about right.
Okay, next up
20%.
we've got more of a draw here coming up.
A Doom look, Harboot.
We've got a three-way tie, and there is one episode that should be much higher than these two. Enemy of the World, Robots of Death, and Rose. Robots of Death is Tom Baker's best story. It is a top
Overrated.
10. Did you just skip Midnight, Alex?
You did just skip Midnight.
Did
Shit!
you just skip Midnight?
You've literally
shit! Did I get that wrong?
I tell you what, Elijah. Somebody should make a stage play of Midnight.
You know that's
You could do
actually
on
a great
stage
idea.
coaches.
It's a four-way tie. We should all go down to Exeter and get on a bus, and we should make a stage coach play of Midnight.
There you go.
But we gotta take
So-
the Doctor Who part out of it, so
So
we
yes.
get away with copyright.
Yeah,
So, but Midnight is also here.
four-way tie.
Four-way tie. I genuinely sorry I missed that. But yeah, I think this is too high.
What's
Midnight,
too
I mean.
high?
What?
Midnight.
What?
I don't know. I think it's boring.
What the fuck's
I
going
mean,
on?
I think when you're in the top 30, you're kind of looking for stuff that's close to perfection. The only thing that marks Midnight down for me is the fact I'm not the biggest Tennant fan.
Okay.
And obviously, with no companion, you get a lot of fucking Tennant in this story.
I'm not a massive fan of claustrophobic stories being in one location. Like, it's just not for me. It's well executed. I think it is a good episode, but it's not. It just has to be like 50th or 60th area. Like,
Alex, leave
I
your
will say
own
this.
podcast.
I will say this: the Dr. Light episode in the series is much better. I'm happy it's higher.
But then again, as I say, I would say that because I'm not a massive Tennant.
But yeah, I think when you look at the episodes against as well, Rose, What Was the Death Enemy of the World, it pales in comparison a little bit because those
I
three are
think
better.
Rose should be higher.
Rose should be higher.
Yeah,
little bit.
I
Little
just
bit.
think for a starting off point of Doctor Who, like, what more do you need? Like, that is just perfect.
You ain't gonna get no
I think-
argument from me, son. Bottom.
Again, I've rated Rose a bit lower than Midnight as an episode, but looking back on it now after talking, I think I think I got that a little bit wrong. I perhaps put the scores around. I gave Rose a 7 and gave Midnight an 8. I probably fit that round. Rose had a monumentous job, and it pulls it off. I didn't watch it at the time, but I can tell you as a fan, I can watch that episode over and over and over again.
I
and
mean,
it doesn't feel like
no-
45 minutes.
It did what the TV movie got wrong. You don't need to explain regeneration right away. You just start with run, and there's your story.
Go for
Like,
it.
go
I
for that.
think
Yeah.
I think a lot of people forget how risky it was bringing Doctor Who back, and sort of 17 years down the line, we forget that actually it wasn't a guaranteed success.
Hmm.
And within 2 minutes of sitting down in front of Rose as a long-term fan, I relaxed and I was like, okay, we're in safe hands here.
Yeah. It's brilliant. I think overall, absolutely. For me, Robots of Death, though, John, we spoke about this on the show. It's top tier. Rees, you said overrated. Again, I don't mean to pick on you, but you can't say that.
It's an alter. It's an alter. I mean, you can say it. You'll just get.
I
No,
don't-
it's, what I meant by that is you can't say it and me not question it. So
Yeah,
I
you
didn't
can
get
say it. You
sent
just get called out for it.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
that's what, sorry, that's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
It's the best classic story. It's an all-time top fiver. It's got absolutely everything. For once,
right.
but for once, the guest cast. You know, you're actually on a spaceship where it's not just everybody wearing the same uniform. You've got this kind of opulent society where everybody's dressed differently, and you actually learn things about their planet and their society simply from the way that the characters interact. You get more backstory from this than you do from pretty much any other story in Classic Who. Tom is absolutely on fire. The Vok robots are beautiful. The guest cast are superb. Pamela Salem and Russell Hunter in particular are just stupendous, and David Collins steals the show as Paul. And in D84 we get probably the best companion that never was.
Yeah, so Rees, can I ask, like, again, not trying to dig out, what don't you like about it? Like, I don't.
I'd rate Caesar Doom higher than this person anyway. Yeah, I remember watching it. I don't know whether it was before, like it was the best thing, the best Tom story.
I'm sort of with a little bit with Rees on that.
Yeah.
I prefer Seeds than I do Robots, but that's just me.
Do you know what? I think with Robots of Death, even what I had with Waters of Mars, like when somebody says, "Oh, this story is really, really good," like you're gonna love it, and then when you watch it, you have these expectations in your head.
Like,
you know, you have those expectations in your head of, "Oh, this could be like the creme de la creme of Doctor Who," and when it isn't that for you, yeah, I entirely see what you mean.
So this is 2 versus 2. I think this is the point where we need Macaulay to run in with a steel chair, because I know this is also a story that Macaulay's a massive fan of.
Yeah. Right. Oh my God! It killed the Macaulay.
Macaulay's got a steel chair. It's just nailed Marshall and keeping the face of the chair.
What the heck? They used to be friends. The figure friends. Biggest hotel of the century.
They're all wearing Vok robot masks. Oh my God, that's killed him. As God is my witness, he is stone cold dead.
There we go. Enemy of the World. It's really good. I wouldn't put it on the same level as Robots of Death for me, but it's really good.
I would. It's my favorite. It's my favorite Troughton.
And Troughton's got that brilliant task of playing the Doctor, Salamander, and the Doctor impersonating Salamander, and does them all fantastically.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, again, you're maybe a little too young to remember this, Alex, but I remember the excitement when this was rediscovered, and everybody, you know, this was found at the same time as 4 episodes of The Web of Fear were found, and everybody was so excited about seeing The Web of Fear that this flew under the radar until the episodes were actually released. And then all of a sudden, everybody was raving about Enemy of the World because it's stunning.
Okay. I will say now we are in the top 25.
That was when we used to get midnight announcements. Remember those?
Ooh.
Been a
No,
while.
I'm too young.
Well,
We're now in the top.
6 p.m. announcements as they were for Elijah.
We're now in the
much better time to get an announcement.
We're now
Right?
in the top 25.
Thursday, what a concept.
Okay, are you ready?
No.
Coming in at 25th with an average of 8.7 is The Haunting of the Diodati, Jodie's highest rated episode. 8.7, I think, is fair. I don't think it's top 25 of Doctor Who.
I think it's nice that there's an episode from the current era in the top 30. I think that if I were to choose an episode from the current era to be in the top 30, it would be this one.
It's
Fair
the most
enough.
liked, isn't it?
I agree.
I think it's probably about right.
Except I would put Rose and Midnight above this.
I'd put Robots of Death above it, but there might be 1 or 2 further up that I'd put below it.
I want Adam Mamoon's reaction because his face said a lot there. It was like,
I
Give it a 9.
well, it's I'd say it's a good Jodie story, but as to represent her era, I'd say there are stronger contenders. I'd say something like It Takes You Away. I'd even say we would talk about Nicholas Tesla's Night of Terror. I think, actually Nicholas Tesla's Night of Terror might actually be my favorite of Series 12. I think I do prefer it to Haunting in that regard. As much as I enjoyed the load of Cyberman stuff, I think
Join the club, Adam. It's a big club.
Gordon Vigianic, just as you say, one of the best actor to play like a historical character, and there's something sort of heartwarming and wholesome about his interaction with the Doctor in that story.
Yeah.
I mean, let's not forget that in our top 25, but this does mean that in our top 25, there is a story with a subplot about an old man trying to find somewhere to have a wee for half an hour.
And I know, John, you're not saying that negatively, but it's absolutely brilliant. Like,
I'm not saying that negatively at all.
It was the first episode of Jodie's tenure and Chibnall's era, however you want to look at it, that they actually managed to give all the companions something to do in an episode that didn't make it seem like it seemed natural.
It actually felt like a proper episode of Doctor Who.
Yep.
There was a lot of very good literary references to it with regards to the Shelley and the poetry and everything like that you actually get in it. There were some really clever nods in it. Ashad, the Cyberman, the lone Cyberman, was actually a villain with menace that we hadn't seen for quite a while, to be honest with you. That wasn't as a new character, I think. Which there's certain things where you have to do something new with existing characters to give them something like that, and that was the most effective thing that they've done more recently, than apart from having the Montassians coming back and everything like that at the end of Capaldi's tenure. So I do feel this has a really strong thing pulling for it. Are there better ones? But like John says, to have something of the current era around this sort of point, I'll give it its dues.
Yeah, like I said, I'm a fan of this era, so I wouldn't put this as my top. I agree with Ad. I think there are 5 or 6 Jodies that are stronger than this for me. I do enjoy it though, because again, I like the era. I think It Takes You Away should be here if you're going to put one in the top 30. I know it's very polarizing. Eliza's one, cocked it right up. But opinions are opinions. It's fine. But yeah, I like this one. I like Mary Shelley in it. I like Ashard in it. I like it all. I think Jodie is a really good performance here. They said Bradley Walsh looking for the bog for 30 minutes. It's fantastic. It's good fun. It's also lit very well. It's very atmospheric. It's really well done.
It's very lit.
It's lit. There we go. We've said lit on the Times podcast. Now we said fab lit. What else should we come?
Bay came up as well.
Bay, yeah.
Greetings, fellow kids. Yeah.
Okay, now in the top 24, we have a draw. Okay, now we're here. I don't know if we can. I'm going to try a little mini game. And if there's a draw, we have to each of us have to pick like overall favorite. For this, we have Flatline or Sunstone Library Forest of the Dead. Both on 8.78.
Silence and Forest for me.
I like Flatline, but yeah.
I like Flatline better, but
yeah. You like Flatline better?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's tough for me.
I'm gonna go with Flatline.
I'm gonna go with Sunstone Library Forest of the Dead. And no, it's not just because I met Colin Solomon at Comic-Con and we spoke about rugby.
It's because of great purchase, isn't it?
Yeah. No, quick question. Do these both deserve to be in the top 25?
I think
absolutely.
Yes.
I think so. I think the difference for me is the first episode of your library 2-part is like really well built up. And then the second one sort of falls into the smoochy sort of side of stuff for me. Whereas Flatline is the Doctor is sort of taken out of the equation to a certain degree, and you have that boss bit with Capaldi at the end of the episode, and that will be like that's iconic Capaldi for me. Where yeah. So I Flatline gets the edge for me on that one.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to go with Sons of the I like both of them. I think this is Jenna Coleman's best episode. I think she's actually brilliant in it. Not that she's not brilliant in a lot of stuff, but I think she's brilliant. I like the idea of the villains. I think they're really cool. I like Riggsy in this. I think he's brilliant. I like Capaldi in it. I think he's really good. I think it's all really good. But Force of the Dead for me, I think has that emotional edge. For me, I think that's what tops it over. I think it's wonderful. I think they're both really good. They both deserve to be here. But next we've got a three-way tie, and I'm going to lose out here because I know I'm going to be the only one that probably says it. But you got Vincent and Doctor, 11th Hour, Stolen After His End. For me, Vincent and 11th Hour are two of my favourites of all time. They would be in my personal top 10. I think it's personal. But I can't not. Again, we got this review coming up next in the podcast, but I can't not pick Vincent the Doctor. For me, it is my favourite Who story. I get for some reasons, for some people it's not. I rarely cry at a Doctor Who. This is one that every time I watch it, I am reduced to tears.
One of these three stories is in my all-time top 5, and that story is Vincent and the Doctor.
Go.
Yeah, Vincent.
The ending itself. Oh man.
I'd be happy for Richard Curtis to come back and write another episode.
Right. So how? What did you say the three were?
Vincent, 11th Hour, Stolen After His End.
I mean, I'd go Vincent just for the fact we both only have 1 year. So
Representation.
woo!
This is one of those things because I've gone for it because the monster's blind.
Go.
I'll go for Jodie's end then because Davros, but
Hey,
no.
after the way you spoke about vengeance on Varos, you won't.
no.
Yeah, I mean, I will probably have to give it to Vincent. But it's only by like I would say
a width of a hair.
A narrow margin. Yeah.
I mean, I would say this is a perfect opportunity to plug the upcoming review of Vincent and the Doctor on the Timeless podcast, which will be coming to you in a few weeks.
Yes, I will say though, pre-warning, it's going to be overwhelmingly positive.
It is going to be overwhelmingly positive. There may be tears.
Yes.
I may start singing along to Athlete.
Oh, look, I think for me,
chances while you can.
That's a preview. But no, for me,
Strike.
I understand why certain people don't connect with this. For some people, it's not their Who. For me, this is exactly what Doctor Who is. I think it's I think Tony Curran gives one of the best guest performances of Doctor Who.
Who?
Is it not Tony Curran? Is that how you say it?
It's Curran, is it not?
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it Curran? Is it? Okay, my apologies.
I don't know.
But he gives one of the best guest performances of Doctor Who. I just love that story. And 11th Hour introduces my favorite Doctor and my favorite era of the show, so I love it. And so
but it is a very Richard Curtis framed story.
Yeah,
it's very and that's the thing. It's sort of it's not a Doctor Who episode as such. It's more of a Richard Curtis writes Doctor Who. So that's the thing that I sort of like. Yeah, you've had other tragic figures within Doctor Who, whereby you could take them out of what it is, you could take them into the future and show how they're underappreciated. It is a big thing with regards to like, was Richard Curtis writing it with the idea of the mental health aspect to it? I don't know. Maybe that's something that we've just like put of ourselves upon it on rewatching it back in the latest times. I don't know. But 11th Hour should nowhere be as high as this because it's dog turd.
Oh my god!
I'm a big fan of the 11th Hour, but I wouldn't put it above Vincent. I mean, what I'd say in terms of Vincent is I would love to see Richard Curtis write a sequel where the Doctor goes back in time, picks up William Hartnell, and then brings him forward 60 years to watch the Timeless Children.
I starts
Yeah,
crying
yeah.
in embarrassment.
And William Hartnell will say, "Why wasn't stories written this good in my era?" But anyway,
Well, no,
moving
William
on.
Hartnell would probably say there
What
are.
the fuck is going? What the fuck is going on?
No.
William Hartnell would probably say there are redacted in Doctor Who now.
Yeah, but
11th Hour is a lot of nothingness, and
I love it because it's a homage to Spearhead from space. But there's a reason that this is here, and we've not got to Spearhead from space yet.
I will say this: 11th Hour shits all over Deep Breath, and it's not even a competition.
fight me, Kingston.
I mean, in terms of, again, it's hard to know what to say because we've already done the 11th Hour. Please refer to the back library of the podcast.
I've got a blade. I'll take you out.
What I would say is the stroke of genius that.
I'll cut you.
Hello. The stroke of genius that the 11th Hour does is that it has the first scene of Matt Smith's Doctor be with a child. And yes, it is that Moffat trope of the Doctor's going to meet a child and then going to get romantically involved with that individual as an adult, which is a little bit weird and a little bit pervy. Again, not saying anything illegal against Mr. Moffat there, but I think it's the stroke of genius in the 11th Hour.
I didn't. Sorry, John. I couldn't. That was a great comment, but I never thought I'd hear B say, "I'll cut you." I brought a knife. I'm very.
I think I did very well to maintain my composure throughout that.
You did really well. Next up, in 18th place on its own is Genesis of the Daleks.
Gut reaction would be to say this is too low. However,
it's conditioning. It's years of conditioning that says it should be that higher.
I could probably name you 17 stories that I would place above it.
Yeah, it's conditioning, I think.
We're
conditioned to think it should be that high.
Yeah, at the same time, I defer to Mr. Mamoon.
I say there are 2 Tom Baker stories I put above Genesis of the Daleks.
Okay.
Have we seen both of them already?
Yeah, so Pyramids Mars and then Brain and Morbius.
I will say, of course we have, because this is the Tom Baker only got. I mean, it's not bad, but he only got to 18th. This is the highest Tom Baker goes.
This is the highest Tom Baker story.
Yes.
That's crazy.
That's shocking.
Fucking hell, you lot. I mean, not necessarily just addressing people within this podcast, but everybody that has voted on this list needs to look at that and go, what the fuck have we done?
Yeah.
What the fuck is going on, to quote the meme?
There we go. Next up, I think we got a draw again. Yes, we do, with 9.1. We got Heaven Sent, Turn Left, Inferno, and Spearhead from Space. This is tight for me. This is tough.
Ooh,
okay, for me, Inferno is an all-time top 5 story and would be my favorite of those. So yeah, Inferno is an all-time top 5 story, would be my favorite of those. Spearhead would probably be just inside the top 10. Turn Left would probably be just outside the top 10. And what was the other one?
Heaven Sent.
Heaven Sent. Wonderful performance by Capaldi. Again, that probably about rightly placed here, because I know it's a Marmite episode and many people hate it, so they do love it. I think it's done well to get here.
Okay,
personally, I think it's a better, as a solo performance for Capaldi's story. I think it should be much higher, though. When we get up to our number 1, then I guess that's rightly so. But
don't spoil the number 1, Elijah. Nothing.
They don't know what it is.
Yeah, but hang on, we don't know what number 1 is.
Okay, if you've been jotting down your piece of paper, you can work it out now. But
like how fans are that obsessive or intelligent.
Okay, right.
And
Spearhead. Here's where I get into it with John Cook. Spearhead is too high. It should be nowhere near the top 40.
Excuse me.
Oh,
fuck you and fuck your mother.
The first classic episode of Doctor Who
I'm not having that on the
Blu-ray.
podcast.
Thank you very much.
Live on air, you can't do that to my mum.
You can't say that about Spirit from Space.
It's like one. It's middling. And if you were to rank post regens, it's middling.
So you are saying that this is middling, and yet the 11th hour, which ripped off this entire fucking story,
Does it better?
you're saying should be higher.
Statement. And that was their shit.
I'd put. Oh,
I mean, I'm tempted to say fuck your entire family, but you know, I'm.
No. Okay.
He's heading down to the graveyard with a shovel.
Okay. I'd say it's the third best. I'd say it's the third best post regen. But yeah, Inferno, classic all-time top 10. I can't argue with you there. Turn left.
Others thoughts on Spearhead? Do I have backup here?
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, 11th hour's dog turd, so definitely better.
And the first classic episode on Blu-ray. Thank you very much.
Nobody cares.
And many people's introduction to Classic Who, because they never really used to repeat the old black and white one. So a lot of people would have tuned into this.
I was Genesis in terms of first classic.
Yes. But yeah, I enjoy it. I think John Pertwee's good in it. I think the Ortons are good in it. I think Inferno's better. I think Turn Left's better. Heaven Sent is better.
I'd agree Inferno's better.
Next up, I like the story, but I don't agree it should be this high. I actually put it below all the other four. Is Curse of Fenric.
What number are we at then, E?
13. 13th.
13.
I wouldn't put it 13th. I wouldn't.
I wouldn't.
Right.
I won as well, and I rated it the lowest out of anyone. Yeah.
Adam, I mean, you're saying that's right.
Yeah. No, I say that's right.
It's my favourite Sylph story, and I'd say it's about right.
What did I give it, Alex?
7.5.
Yeah, there's still stories I like more, if I'm honest.
Yeah, and it is the top Sylph story on the list.
No, it's not.
No.
No, it's not. I'm an idiot.
I was going to say there's one more better than this, and I think it's.
Look, and I've not even got the fucking list up in front of me.
But no, it's not. Yeah, it's good. It's really good. I wouldn't put it 13th.
Look, I like Ghostlight more, right? Yeah, that's it. And yeah, the thing is, I think Sylvester's serials are very polarizing.
Yes. I think this is really good. I do. I just don't think it's I put it in like the 30s, late 20s, early 30s for me.
I still think it should be highly rated.
I agree.
Are there other ones that should be higher than it? Yeah, without a doubt.
Like coming in at 12th place, and the
there were 12 higher than it, which is about right.
Coming in at 12th place, and the last Pertwee story on the list is the Daemons, an average of 9.2. I don't even think this is the best Pertwee story. I'd say it's Inferno, but
I'd say that Inferno's a better Pertwee story, but I think that's more about Inferno being undermarked than this being overmarked.
agreed.
I think that this is placed about right. This is the consummate unit story. You know, when you think unit stories, you think this. It's basically the epitome of the golden age of Doctor Who for me. You know, Barry Letts's era of Doctor Who. You think of Joe Grant, you think of Unit, you think of The Master, you think of these wonderfully quaint English stories, and you just think of this. The whole bloody thing's brilliant. When we did a season 8 watch along for the box set last year, there's a reason that we chose this story.
This encapsulates all the best aspects of Pertwee all in one fantastic package.
It's beautiful. It's funny. It's charming. It's quintessentially English. It's scary. It's got
it's
the best remembered line in the history of Doctor Who with Chap the Wings there, 5 rounds rapid, and it's got the best final line in Doctor Who. Fancy a dance, brigadier? I'd much rather have a pint.
It's like they say, in the absence of knowledge, science can only be discerned as magic, and this encapsulates all of that. To be honest with you,
if you look into it and read into the themes of it, it is wonderfully deep about the power of religion and where science and magic sit, and the power of prayer and how people can be influenced and how communities can be influenced. It's superb, and R.I.P. Damaris, and I fucking love this story.
Yeah, and yeah, I don't think anyone could disagree with that, can they? It's got 12th for a reason.
And Delgado is like top tier on this as well.
Yeah.
You can't, obviously, as much as we talk about the Doctor and everything like that, the Master is top tier in this.
I love that he's masterful disguise. He's putting on a big pair of glasses.
Right.
Yeah,
It's great.
Right.
It's
Now we have a big tie coming up next.
Right.
A big tie. Tomb of the Cybermen, Earth Shock, Human Nature, Family of Blood.
Ooh.
Human nature,
Place.
Human Nature, Family of Blood should not be on the same tier as those two. No.
Okay. I would put Turn Left over Human Nature, Family of Blood, to be honest.
This was the top scoring Tennant episode. I will put that in for context. For me, this is well deserved. I'd say it's better than Earth Shock, not better than Tomb.
I mean, if you put Turn Left above it, it would still be the top scoring Tennant episode, because Tennant's barely in Turn Left. It's why Turn Left's so bloody good.
I think this story is one of the best in Doctor Who. I think that's why it's got here. I think Earth Shock's a bit.
It's been an interesting one today, because it's quite topical today, because there's been a massive debate across Twitter about idiots saying about some people expressing the view that Human Nature, Family of Us is problematic for some reason, because apparently you're not allowed to show that people were a bit racist in historic times.
Wow. No, I'm sorry. For me, this one hits all the emotional beats it's going for. Like when you get to the end of the story, you see the images of the war. It's brilliant. I think Tennant's really good as an actor anyway, but in this, he does a really good job as John Smith. This is a good episode for Martha, and if you're a fan of the Martha character, she's really good in it.
He's significantly better as John Smith than he is as the Doctor.
John,
Yes.
The tape for Tennant. This is interesting. I feel like this is what I'm like with Jodie. Surprisingly enough, I feel like it's
Yeah, I'm
I'm
surprised.
not-
I think Jodie's a lot better as someone that's not the Doctor too.
Wow. Oh God, I'm so sorry everyone listening. Jesus Christ.
Hey, look! I'm honest and I'll stand by my conviction.
No, of course. But this entire podcast.
All opinions are valid.
Yeah, of course they are.
I mean, in terms of these 3 episodes, essentially we would be saying that 2 are in the top 10 and 1 isn't.
Mhm.
I think if I were to choose one to drop out, it probably would be Human Nature and Family of Blood.
Yeah, that's it.
But that's more about the strength of the other 2. Again, I think in terms of Tomb of the Cybermen, being an older fan comes into play a little bit here, because Beef may well be in the same boat. You remember the excitement when those episodes were found in Japan or Hong Kong, which was 1992. You remember the excitement when they were found. It's like, wow, this story that's been lost for 15, 25 years.
But even then, I think with the benefit of time passing between that and just taking the story on its own merit,
that's great.
It can't be beat.
Yeah,
If I had one to pick, I would drop Earthshock out of the top 10.
I wouldn't, because we get rid of that pesky little brick.
Yeah, but he shouldn't. Yeah, but he's in the first.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If I had to rate it, it's 2, then Earthshock, then Human Nature, Family of Blood.
For me, it's Earthshock bottom, then Human Nature, then Tomb.
No, Tomb, Earthshock, Family of Blood.
What are we saying, guys? What episode of these 3 doesn't hit the top 10?
Which one of these 3 is not like the others?
Of course, yeah, Earthshock.
Because it's 10th, 11th, 12th.
2 Cybermen, Earthshock.
No, it's 9th, 10th, 11th.
It was 9th, 10th, 11th.
Yeah, he's just gone into the top 10, I think. Isn't it?
Tomb, Human Nature, Family of Blood, then Earthshock.
Add.
Oh God.
You get the deciding vote. Is it equal
You have
either
the
side?
right.
Or does Earthshock at the top 10 or does Human Nature at the top 10?
Earthshock.
Okay, so it's equal. So it's kind of 3 people say Earthshock, 3 people say Human Nature. Okay. So there is no definitive top 10.
Does anybody put one of them top of their list?
2. No. 2.
So everybody's got Tomb top.
would
I say Family of Blood.
So we're
Oh,
saying
wait.
it's equal. So what we should say is they
Okay.
cancel each other out, and we'll just put the demons in the top 10. Brilliant.
Right. Next up, though, we got
we put a Tom Baker in the top 10.
No.
Damn it.
He
Well,
came
I thought I'd
18.
give it a
mate.
shot.
You can't shoot.
I mean, I'm not gonna. Okay, how can I? Without running the Adam Moon, look at the list. He's in there somewhere.
Oh, damn it. Right. Yeah. Okay.
So I'm not going to spoil the rest of the list, but he's in there somewhere.
Right, next up,
All is right.
These are the fun battles, though, because we've got Dalek, Remembrance of the Daleks, and Caves of Androzani. I'm sorry, Caves is better than the last 2.
Remember,
Caves, if I recall rightly, has been done dirty by one person and would have won this competition if it hadn't.
Yes. Connor Allen, we're looking at you.
You wouldn't hear no arguments from me.
Connor gave it a 6 for context.
I mean, it's unfortunate, but that's the way democracy works, apparently.
No, we're going to storm the Cardiff student accommodation.
The
votes are stolen.
All I'll say is, like,
This is another May uprising.
Alex, when you're back in Cardiff next week or whenever, kick him in the fucking shin.
This is
I
the
can run him over. I probably can't kick him
original-
in the shin.
This
Well,
is
this
the
is the
original
Cage
Yellow
Riders,
Wiggle.
aren't
Hit him in the shin.
Live from Cardiff student accommodations.
But yeah, for me,
Hit him in the shin. Elijah, when you're staying over later this year, shit in his kettle.
I don't mean to be rude to the other 2, but I think this is about. I think this is a battle between what's better, Remembrance of the Daleks or Dalek, because I think Caves is a bit clear.
I think we're all agreed that within this chat that Caves would probably be the rightful winner of this entire competition.
No, but it's very, very close. And to give you the idea of that, I watched Caves on transmission when that went out, and it still lives with me now, watching that. And when I grew up, the era that was primarily my formative years was the Davison era, and to see that, and that was the end of it, and that end was just like such like an emotional roller coaster that it still stays with me now for the best part of 40 years later. Really says how much of a powerhouse that story is.
So some stories that are regarded as all climbed classics, you look at them and you're like, are they really that good? You never get that with Caves. Caves, you look at it and you're like, I can see exactly why everybody loves this fucking story. No matter how much it's been hyped up, it lives up to that hype. So it's not that thing that Rees was saying earlier with the Robots of Death, or Alex was saying earlier with another story. You don't get that with Caves of Androzani. It just lives up to whatever fucking hype you've got in your head.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it kills you. It kills you every time.
I don't mean to be a dick to the other 2, but I think this is a battle of. I think Caves is clear of these 2. What's better, Dalek or Remembrance of the Daleks? For me, it's Remembrance.
Me, it's Dalek.
No, it's Remembrance.
I would have to go with Dalek.
Okay. Ooh. Rees.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say Remembrance.
Ooh.
Oh,
Hey.
okay. There we go.
I think but obviously they're both also incredible stories.
I draw your attention to Brexit. The majority isn't always right.
Paul, I'm not going to disagree with you on that one. But yeah, I think Remembrance is quintessential. You think of Dalek stories, it's quintessential. I think it's got some of the best cliffhangers in Doctor Who. I think Sylvie's brilliant in it. I think Sophie's brilliant in it. I think the Dalek's brilliant in it. You get one of the best speeches in Doctor Who. It's 4 parts. It moves at breakneck pace. It's phenomenal. Dalek is also phenomenal as well. Eccleston.
It's one of those good
is-
stories you kind
I
of
mean,
like
you
break
talk-
in. Like, well, sorry, those classic stories you can kind of break new series fans into classic. I think we remember anyway.
Sorry, you talk about how good Sylve is. I mean, I know you're not a huge fan, Alex, but the fear in Eccleston's eyes when he sees the Dalek for the first time, when you know what he's been through,
Chef's kiss.
nothing for me. Nothing can top that.
Oh yeah, I'm not going to shit on that.
It's Eccleston's. It's Eccleston's forte. It's his best performance as the Doctor, and anybody
Yes.
that's keeping score will know that there are 3 Ecky Thumper stories in the top 10. There's a reason for that. It's because he's brilliant. This is his best performance.
Yeah, this is the one. This is the one out of the 3 stories in the top 10 that I believe should be in the top 10. The other 2 stories we'll get to.
We're going to have an interesting discussion in a minute.
Actually, no. I say 2 of them deserve to be in it. There's one that deserves to be in like the top 30. But hey, we'll get into that in a sec.
Good save.
Yes, sorry, I didn't. That you know which one I'm talking about.
I think you
deserve to
know
be.
which one I'm talking about. So
Yes, I know which one. No, I do like that one. I love it. Look, Dalek's really good, right? I think it lolls in the middle a little bit. I think that's the thing when we remembrance doesn't let up.
I mean, it does. It does. I mean, Dalek does have the unfortunate fact of having a sex pest in it, but I would challenge most people to name me 3 episodes of series 1 that don't have sex pests in them.
Yeah, overall, it's 3 amazing stories. We're going to move on to now the top 5 of this podcast. Number 5, it won the original DWM poll. It's not winning today. It's the Day of the Doctor.
And that wasn't the original DWM poll.
Was it not? I thought it won.
The
original one. No.
Oh, well,
I mean, I'm not. I mean, you know, they've done DWM polls for decades.
The 2014 poll that I know of, did it not win?
It did.
I think it won, but that wasn't the original poll.
I apologize. VAR. Sorry, I'm an idiot. Yeah, 5th place for this, I think, is accurate. Is it the 5th best Doctor Who story?
No.
But it had a lot to do and it achieved it. Moffat, like John has said, I don't want to steal his quote, but he said it a lot. Moffat is a man that understands Doctor Who to a T. There is no better writer to write a 50th anniversary of Doctor Who than Stephen Moffat, and he pulls it off.
It is pure fan service. Yes, the workaround for not being able to get Chris involved, maybe not the biggest fan of that. Because as I said, in terms of the 3 Doctors, I think they found a better way of working around things. But it is pure fan service that Moffat basically sat there and went, okay, we're going to have Daleks in this, we're going to do the Time War in this, but we also need to bring an iconic monster back. What's an iconic monster that everybody remembers? Zygons. We're going to bring the Zygons back for that. We'll get John Hurt involved. And, right, I mean, this is full of little moments where you just go, oh, as a Who fan, like the moment where Tennant and Smith cross their legs at the same time, that is like brilliant. And then you get the moment with Capaldi's eyebrows when you're not expecting Capaldi. It's like brilliant. And then I can't do it justice, so I'm going to let Adam Mamoon talk about the end of the episode and tell us what it meant to him.
Okay,
So-
Adam, set the stage.
Because in my
Where were
view, if there was one person that decided to come back for this episode, it's this person.
So Matt has the line, I could be a curator, I'd be great at curating, da 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 da. And then you hear, I really think you might. And then it's at a standstill. You're like, that voice, it's happening. And he's not quite in shot, but it's building and building until that moment. The shots on Tom, my God, I was just thrilled. I'm glad that he got to be a part of this episode in some way. The scene that he shares with Matt is really nice and, really cool. he still got it. I think that's what I love about Tom, where like the nose, when he touched his nose, and he's absolutely still got it all after all this time, and beautiful, love it.
And they kept it a secret.
Yeah.
They did.
I mean, I dropped me chunky Kit Kat in me brew.
All I can say is, first time watching this, I saw that scene and I was like, "Who is this man?
Yeah,
What's going on?"
It's.
I
Who
was
is Doctor Who?
But then
I was 12. I
It's
was
the
12.
impact of, for me, and I mean, I'm somebody who prefers Turtle to Baker, but I still appreciate what Tom's done for the show. For me, that was wow. For people that are like the biggest Tom fans, that must have been such a moment.
Yeah, and I think I love the fact we talk about generation scenes, that it's really more the actor or the actor. This is more Tom Baker and Matt Smith acting than, they're just playing off each other rather than two characters. Like, I love the little interaction of "Congratulations, by the way. Oh, thank you very much." That is the actors kind of, it's not a passing of the torch but I love that little bit of, it's so meta, but in a way where it doesn't break the episode, if you know what I mean. It's wonderful.
I think like Matt Smith was fanboying like at this moment, so you sort of let his Matt Smith out the same way that David Tennant did when he had scenes with Elizabeth Sladen in School Reunion.
Yeah, I think as well, what thing about Dan the Doctor is it's one of those episodes that isn't over. It's one of those episodes that had lofty expectations and I think hits it. That's why I think some people say it's overrated, because
I think Hurt fits in with it as well. He feels
wonderfully.
It's one of these things where if anybody says, "Oh, it's overrated," or it's not good, you sit there and you go, "Okay, what would you have done differently?" And they go, and they can't answer you.
Because there's no, as much as people want to say, "Oh, you could have had the other classic Doctors in it," it just wouldn't have worked.
Yeah,
they have changed significantly, except McGann.
And we got the 5-ish Doctors,
right?
Which we haven't actually had yet on this list. Could be in the top. It's not in the top.
And number one.
No, but yeah, I think for me, like again, first watch, I didn't appreciate this episode, but obviously now being a Who fan proper, it's not perfection, but it's as close as the anniversary special can get to perfection, because I don't think an anniversary special as a story can be. In terms of storytelling alone, I think there has to be that element of fan service that sort of, as a story, that compromises it. But Moffat does it brilliantly. For me, although it hasn't come up yet, it's better than the 5 Doctors. It just, for me, it hits out the park. All the acting is on point. Matt Smith and Tennant and Hurt bounce off each other wonderfully. Billy Piper's brilliant in it, as she always is. Jenna Coleman's brilliant in it. This is the best use of Kate Stewart as a character, because she actually has things to do, and it actually influences the plot. The Saigon thing is brilliantly set up, and yes, although it is a setup for a later story, their impact on the story actually has is there for a reason.
There's so many quotable little lines in there. That you were the Doctor on the day it was impossible to get it right.
Exactly. You have the iconic shots of Matt outside the TARDIS, flying through the air. And that ending, No Sir All 13. You just, as a Who fan, that is the peak scene.
Yeah,
it might not be the best scene in Who.
As Alex would say, bravo, well done.
Yes.
Yeah.
However, it did not get to it. It only came 5th. There are a few stories better, but there is a tie in the top 4, and it's 2 Ecky's Cake stories, and one of them blitzes it for me. It's Barrel Partner of the Ways, and it's Father's Day. This is it. Right, we need to pick a favourite here because it's a battle for a podium place.
But isn't 5 Doctors level with them as well?
Nope.
Oh yeah.
Is it not?
Oh, is it?
Wait.
Is it a 3-way tie? It's a 3-way tie. Yeah. Oh shit! Only one of them doesn't make the podium of Doctor Who stories. So 5 Doctors.
I'm going to start off here. I'm going to make a case for Father's Day to be in the top 3.
Agreed.
The first time that I saw Father's Day was on broadcast in 2005. and I watched it with my mother. The second time that I saw it was on the DVD box set in 2006 after she passed away. Anybody who has, and of course this is all hypothetical because we know time travel is hypothetical. Anybody who has lost a parent would, if offered the opportunity to take a trip in a time machine, would want that one more day. I want that one more day. To see Rose having not even effectively one more day because she couldn't even remember her father was beautiful. And on rewatch, that episode spoke to me in ways that it hadn't initially. And, you know, last week when we were talking about It Takes You Away, I talked about certain episodes of a personal connection. This has a massive personal connection for me. And of these 3 episodes, I would place it top, and it would, for me, take second place. But I would want it to be on the podium here, because I think that it's just a beautiful little time travel story that talks to people in a difficult situation in a way that they can relate to. And I think, you know, there were probably people in my position that saw that and it helped them through it. It helped me through it. That's my case for Father's Day.
My relationship with the story is a little bit different because it's not the same.
I know it's a little bit naughty, invoking dead mothers and stuff like that.
No, mate, not
really,
at all.
Can't really tell me to fuck off now, can you?
Not at all.
Fuck me, John. I can't just say, oh shit.
No, but my relationship with this story is a little bit different because I haven't had a relative that close who's passed away, but without going into too much detail, I've not had a close relationship with my father. So to sort of see Rose kind of go through a similar thing, but of course different, I relate to aspects of the story. Obviously not on that level that John or anybody else in this position can go through. For me, it takes second place, like John says. For me, the one that doesn't get on the podium here is Bad Wolf Part on the Ways.
Yeah, I don't really want to mark one of the other 2 off of the podium. I think on the spreadsheet I've given one of them 10 and the other one not, but I don't really want to mark one of them off of the podium because for me the more important thing is actually talking about the story that I positively connect with and the one that I would want to see rewarded.
Right. Well, let's pick.
I'm not gonna choose between the other 2 because I think that for me it's about making a case for the third one.
Right, let's pick at least a second. And if you want to share the podium, it's fine. But I think for me, let's talk about Five Doctors a sec. I know Beefus is your particular favourite, so do you want to take us away? Or is Cage your favourite? Or am I mistaken? I know it's
it's hard, like I say, because it's as much as Cage stay with you, so does the Five Doctors. And the Five Doctors is just like, oh my god, it's like the Avengers of Doctor Who. It's making the Ultra Megazord of Doctor Who. You're just getting all these 5 pieces and putting them together in this giant sexual package that just gives me the massive Who erection that I could ever have for my entirety of my existence. And obviously, it sounds like bad taste after we've been talking about, relatives who've gone and everything like that. And I completely echo John's sentiment and everything like that. Bad Wolf Part of the Ways getting a bin. To me, it really should be top 10. And that's how I feel.
But would you say Father's Day? Would you say Father's Day deserves to be around this area for you? Or
it's tough. It's tough because I think on a personal level and everything like that, and I know exactly completely understand and understand where John's coming from and the sentiments with it. Yeah, if you could go and have one more day and everything like that, yeah. There's that, and it's the emotional connection that you place with it, as opposed to the story. And it's sort of like there are aspects of the story that aren't great. So it's where you place your marker on this, whether you place it to the emotional connector you get with it, or whether you place it to the story and the reapers that come with it. It's a little part of that. But what I would say, and this is also echoing back to some of the other things that we've talked about as we've gone through this great length on however long these both of the episodes will be together, is that to facilitate that for Rose, the Doctor is willing to basically risk everything and sacrifice everything for Rose to have that, and that I think gets down to a beating heart of the Doctor and the companion dynamic, and that really made a real shift in tone with regards to their relationship.
And this is why 9 and Rose shits all over 10 and Rose.
Yeah.
Literally, the Doctor is willing to sacrifice the universe for Rose to have that moment, that part back. But also there's the tragic element that aspect of things can never be changed, because you have to put it back in that, and you have to take that, and you have to move on. So there is a massive case to be had for that. But with regards to the 3, it's going to be 5 Doctors. I can't help but that will be my Doctor Who comfort episode. Whatever happens, that is my safety blanket. I love it to bits, and it's the, when I say Avengers, you would never ever think that you would get all 5 Doctors, which, well, to a certain degree you didn't, but in essence, that's the closest you're going to get to, like, the Beatles playing on the roof. Do you know what I mean? In a Doctor Who episode, that is what the 5 Doctors is. It can never be repeated. It can never be replicated, and it's a fucking banging story.
And I mean,
it is Doctor Who's greatest fucking hits. It's the one album that no one can ever remake, and everyone will have in their car. It's bigger than Queen's greatest hits. It's bigger than that one CD that everyone has in their fucking collection. It's the 5 fucking Doctors.
I raised you one question.
I mean, obviously, it does make the top 3 because it's got Pertwee, whereas Bad Wolf Parton and the Ways hasn't.
Right, but Beef, all I would say is, right, you say it beats Queen's greatest hits, but does it beat one of the best compilations albums of all times, ABBA Gold?
Of course. That even a question?
I just
thought. For the fact, look, Alex, it says more about you, I think, than it does me.
ABBA Gold is a banging album.
I mean, it's so outstanding that it even beats Michael Jackson's His Story, the Greatest Hits collection, and Wet Wet End of Part 1.
Okay, this is the final vote, because we have a ninth Doctor Stan in the Zoom call. I think it's pretty clear the 5 Doctors has cinched it. But Rees, if you had to pick to go on the podium between Bad Wolf Parton and the Ways or Father's Day, because you are the 9th Doctor Stan in this Zoom, so I'll go leave it to you.
Well, I'm very happy with. Well, it's better than your opinion of it being like one of the worst. Anyway,
I said it's top 40.
Right. I said,
well, I mean, you say this since you did, but Adam Mamoon hasn't had to say yet either.
The Adam.
Okay, add. What you said?
And you just compared it to ABBA Gold.
I actually, out of the 3, would probably make a case for Bad Wolf and Parting of the Ways. I just think it's my favorite series finale. I think it ties everything from Bad Wolf and all the emotional arcs really well together. It's an epic Dalek story. They're a mighty big threat, including the reintroduction to the Dalek Emperor. And Chris Eccleston has some incredible scenes. The scenes where he sends Rose away, and just the look on his face as he's, saying goodbye to the TARDIS, because as far as he's aware, it's about to go. It's about to wither and die until obviously Rose comes back and everything like that. But just the look on his face when he's got the hands on the detonator, as he's basically got his hands back on the trigger. He's not where he wants to be, but he announces the coward any day. I love that scene. It's just got some incredibly emotionally satisfying ending to a fantastic series. Like series 1, it's that lightning in a bottle.
Overrated.
Hey!
Who said that?
No.
Who said that? Who said
do
that?
not
Who
have
said
this
that?
at this dojo.
Who said that? No, yeah, this complicates things, Reese. This does put you in a position now, which
I've
is when you
decided.
pick does top. Okay,
I've decided. So so the 5 Doctors.
it's 2.
It's very, very like rewatchable, but I think Day and the 3 Doctors is probably trumpet. Sorry, Beef.
No, it's fine. You're just wrong.
Yeah. Bad Wolf Part of the Ways, I think, up there with another thing that might be very close to top. Yeah, but it's extremely good. However, Father's Day, I think, as just that one episode, I think it's just glorious. Like whether people's like gone through, I think is if you had the time travel, it's the first thing you say, you'd go back and say, well, who would you go back and see in that? But it's just glorious. It's just like the ending as well, the music and beautifully written. Yeah, just
also 80s Jackie is well hot.
Rees Marshall, to quote the Doctor in Last of the Time Lords, I forgive you.
Oh.
Right. So if I could make official confirmation, I would say that based on what we said today, I'm sorry, Adam, but Part of the Ways 4th, 5 Doctors 3rd, and then Father's Day 2nd, which means, can we get a little drum roll? Obviously, we all know, but can we get like a little? Our top episode, which got marked down by a point, which means it scored 89 out of 90.
Dimensions in time.
Yes. No, it is World Enough and Time and the Doctor Falls. I mean, well, on paper, I've been thinking about this a lot. Obviously, it's been out we've done this page for a week or two. But you think about it a lot, you wouldn't perhaps say this is the best, but when you think about it, it's a season finale that hits so well. Like Reese was saying and alluded to, it's up there. And the thing is, a season finale, when it hits, is the best thing. And this one hits, man. Like, this is quality. It's wonderful. The only issue with it, it's not really an issue, is the fact that we all knew John Sim was in the first part. We all knew that. But you can look over that very quickly.
I think that is an issue. But it doesn't detract too much. But certainly for me, and I don't know if it's a case of, you guys will have to sort of educate me on this, because I don't know if it's a case of having more perceptive hearing or what. But the minute I heard that guy speak, I was like, that's John Sim then.
I caught on that too, to be honest.
Yeah.
I guessed it from the set video.
This is the issue with the Moffat era and the leaks and stuff, is that unfortunately he had no choice, because it was going to come out and they were going to announce it.
Well, that's the thing. To be honest, no one really knew until they brought up that John Sim was coming back.
Oh no, I know. I
knew.
But it was going to leak, wasn't it? It was going to leak. It didn't leak at that point, but it was going to, right? No.
Fuck you, person who shall not be named, but who hasn't worked on Doctor Who since that era.
Do you know what? Do you know what I would say is though that episode, and certainly with Michelle Gomez is like peak.
Yes.
Miss it at that point.
Yes, absolutely.
And at that point, you have got the apex part of the relationship between the Master and the Doctor that has gone through every single serial from the very start of the show up until that point, has led to that. And that is pretty fucking amazing.
Right.
Capaldi gives possibly the best performance that I have seen anybody give as the Doctor.
Yeah, like John says, yeah, Moffat understands the show. Perhaps I would say to a certain degree more. He loves it more than Russell T Davies.
Yeah.
That it courses through his every fibre of being, and you can see that because there's so little wastage to that you can't, that it is it to say that as a swan song for, yeah, if it wasn't for,
It should have been.
In one respect it should have been. If he had gone at that point, wow.
Yes.
I mean,
That is why
if only somebody had had the time to turn in a fucking first draft script,
I know.
like they
That
did
is-
for the series that they wrote next.
This is my only it's not even really a controversial opinion because I think no one's going to ever get me for this. I seriously believe this should be Capaldi's Regeneration story. I know originally it was going to be.
Should have been.
I know originally it was going to be, but for me, we've spoken about the other one, that piece of trash in the other podcast. But for me, this is brilliant. Capaldi's on form. Everyone's on form. It's epic. There's so many cool bits about it. It feels massive. The budget, considering it's a BBC budget, it doesn't feel like it. The Cybermen scenes are fucking amazing. This is Doctor Who at its peak. There is nothing, you know me, I'm normally not, I wouldn't say negative, but I'm never overly. This is one of the stories that I can go, this is fucking incredible. This is one of the stories that genuinely, like I said, the only thing I really have an issue with is that we knew Johnson was in it, like you said, John. Apart from.
The only issue I have is the Mondasian Cybermen flying. It's the only thing I'm like,
But they have to be like Iron Man. But they have to be like Iron Man because Iron Man is cool, Elijah. The kids won't like it unless they're like Iron Man.
But also to the point, and this is down, and this is purely down to Rachel Talalay as well, is that the visuals are absolutely iconic and amazing.
Oh, yeah. It's beautiful.
There's the bit where Bill, as the converted Cyberman, is carrying the lifeless body of the Doctor into the village, and you have in both parts equally mimicked Frankenstein and The Day the Earth Stood Still. Whereas you've got Gulp the robot carrying Klaatu, you've got Frankenstein's monster, carrying the body. It's so fucking clever. It is just amazing, the visuals that go with it. That is like visually, it is a tour de force. The acting is a tour de force. There is no dead weight in that serial.
As you were saying, Alex, like, it being, I would agree. Like, I'd love to speak Capaldi's last story, particularly when he's in the battlefield at the end and he's lying down and his line is "Stars, I'd hope there be stars," and you're looking at that final line and that final shot would have been perfect. And I could kind of imagine him regenerating right there, and then you'd have Jodie wake up in the battlefield in amongst the massacre. I think that would have been quite a cool ending.
Yeah, I think as well, you get that lovely scene that obviously they do what they did with the Fifth Doctor, and you have the old companions of the new series. I like that. I like a homage. I think it's really cool. It kind of gives the Doctor, but it's opposite to what I have to do in Caves, because obviously it gives them that emphasis to do that one extra bit. Keep going, Doctor. But yeah, for me, we talk about drops from the peak, laps in stories from quality. For me, there is no bigger quality drop than this to Twice Upon a Time.
Get fucked.
But it's what was I going to say? Sorry, I've lost my train of thought. I was going to say, it'll come back to me.
It's funny for Moffat to be like, "Oh yeah, I'll write the Christmas special to keep your slot," and then Chibnall's like, "Nah, you're good."
Yeah, but okay, Rees,
the following episode was a beast of necessity, but he still made it amazingly effective.
Yeah, it was still a better episode than whatever Chibnall would have done.
It was still just a Capaldi almost like giving Capaldi a thank you, because you know how big
It was still
of a Hartnell
shit.
fan Capaldi is.
It was
like,
still shit.
Get fucked, Kingdom.
I don't care.
I remember what I was going to say. I think one of the most beautiful things for me is obviously the fact that Missy gets her redemption in this story, but
Yeah.
the Doctor doesn't know about it. Nobody knows that
Bittersweet.
Missy is actually the hero,
Yeah.
and you know that's beautiful.
I might be one of the people that thinks that the whole the one master thing doesn't ruin it, because it could be incarnation based. We've seen the Doctor change personality between incarnations. I think I'm happy the fact that the Michelle Gomez arc ends with her, because I think she is the best person to portray that kind of arc. She has that, you know, that kind of level of being absolutely batshit one scene but caring the next. I love the fact that her arc is actually trying to be the Doctor's friend but getting it wrong until that final moment where she realizes, I need to actually save him by killing myself, which is strangely beautiful.
We've had all these other instances where the master has aligned themselves with the Doctor just purely to get something out of it themselves. And this is, you know, you've had Missy up until that point being sort of tutored by the Doctor, saying it's not that you're doing it to get it, do it to get something from it. You're doing it because it's the right thing. And this is where the message sort of finally breaks through. Yeah, and it is, and that is, I think that's amazingly done.
I also have to give credit to John Sim. I think he's brilliant in this. It's a return to form after the end of time. I think he's hamming it up a bit more than he did. He's sort of in the middle of where he was at the in the series 3 finale and end of time, sort of in the middle. But I think he acts as a really good foil here. Sidemen are really good in it, especially in the first part. They kind of become a bit fodder in the second, but in again, like you say, Beef, in a necessity sort of sense, they kind of have to be, because the story isn't about the Sidemen anymore. It's really more about the Master and the Doctor. Overall, I think it's brilliant. I say Rachel Talalay is possibly one of the best visual minds Doctor Who has ever seen. She is stunning. She has sort of the, you know, to get Heaven Sent, you think of this. She's perfect. And
if you see her drawings, they're fucking incoherent. So,
but is this my favorite episode of all time? No. But does it deserve to be possibly the best? Yeah, because it's one of those finale. It's rare.
It deserves to be very high. Yeah,
it's rare that in the modern era, and any era really, that a finale hits and you go, do you know what? That entirely satisfied me in every sense. And this is one of those finales. Can we all agree on that?
Yeah. To say that it's earned. I think when you get down into the top 10, it's down to personal peccadillos. But to say, should this have a very high placing? Yeah, without a doubt, it's earned.
Anybody else? Do we all agree that this is possible? Does it deserve to be where it is?
Yes.
I find it hard to argue for anything being above it,
unless it's the Five Doctors.
Ads.
Well, I will admit it's my second favorite series finale, but it is still
Part of the ways for you.
Yeah, I would say Babel Part of the Ways just takes it in terms of series finales, just at least. But this is probably the second best, and an incredible story.
Right, guys, it's weird to say that's it. We've gone through it all. We've been
Thank
here.
Fuck for that.
We've done it. Yes, we've done
Time
it
for another 3 hours.
But we've also finished the 100th episode of Tavers podcast, which is mental. Again, I said it in part 1. I'll say it again here, especially finishing the 100th episode. It's been a wild ride. Obviously, you guys know who's listening from episode 1 to now. The podcast has changed a lot. These guys went on it to begin with. There was a consistent co-host with me. That's now changed. These guys have come on, took the reins, and been lovely to me. And it's been fun. We're not stopping anytime soon. We got a new series of John coming out about James Bond. We got more Marvel stuff as they continue going. Doctor Who's not going anywhere. These guys ain't going anywhere. It's been fucking amazing.
Doctor Who's not going anywhere for years.
I don't know if you guys want to say your piece, but for me, it's been fun every week. It's always a joy to come on and just chat a load of absolute rubbish with these lot. It's never boring. It's never a chore. It's always fun.
100 episodes.
Happy 100th. anniversary.
Let me
Theories.
go.
100 episodes is fantastic, and thank
Where
you.
am I?
Thank you for inviting
Thank you,
me.
Theories.
Thank you for inviting me to be a part of it, Faries. Can't wait to be on your next YouTube video.
Wow. It's been mugged off in like 100th episode. No, Darius, you're not watching this, but keep up the good work, mate.
I'm going to send him the link.
Cool, you should do. I've seen he's
And
got a lot of shit on
donate
Twitter
to
today.
Alex's GoFundMe to get him to LA. We're
I'm
almost
gonna say- I'm
halfway
gonna
to
say-
our goal.
I'm going to feed him the information. I'm going to get Faries to leak what wins the Timeless Podcast Top 300 before you actually publish it.
Fucking Reddit. No, but yeah, like I said, it's been a wild ride. Like I
I've
say,
got
what's
a knife.
He's got a knife. What's coming up soon? Well, I can tell you this. Like I said, James Bond's coming up. Vincent the Doctor's coming up. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness is coming up. Everything's coming up on the show. We got so much left. Stay tuned for more. You can follow John at johnboy_cook on the socials. Elijah Craling at eCraling1. Reese for trailers and his lovely Twitter stuff and
Here's the
figures and other
200.
things. Yes, if we get there. You can follow him at GF97 YouTuber on the socials. Adam Mamoon is at beer_can_Batman for lovely tweets. And if you want to get some knives, you can follow Beef at the Beefhead. You can follow me on Twitter at @King_Dom. The podcast at Times Pod. We shall see you soon. Like, share, subscribe. See you next week. Goodbye.
Hurrah.
Good night. God bless. Don't have nightmares. Do sleep well. Take all your chances while you can.